The first rule in grip sport is you tell everyone about grip sport.
Crushing, pinch grip, thickbar, wrists.
If the best guy in the world can't lift 100 pounds on it, I don't give a shit about it.
Originally, Joe, you were on the very first episode we ever did. That was the debut episode of the Grip Show. That would have been July 28th, 2023. So this is actually pretty much the exact 2-year anniversary of that upload. So the Grip Show's been running pretty strong for 2 years now. So yeah, guys, we're just going to basically go through a lot of the submissions and questions that were turned in, just some other facts, other things, and just, I don't know, just kind of cover different discussion topics that have just popped up over the last couple of years since the beginning of the show. And we're going to kind of just go off on some different tangents and just see what people submitted and kind of give our takes on it, and talk about some of the past stuff up until this point, and then talk about maybe some of the stuff going forward in the future. So, Joe, I got to ask you first, when the idea was bouncing around about making a thing called the Grip Show, or even entertaining to start something like this, what was kind of going through your head? I guess maybe before it really started to kind of get in motion, or what were you thinking when it got to that point and it's like, oh God, we're going to try to do a show and we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. What was your take on that?
I was just excited at the prospect. I remember we were talking a lot, like we still talk on the phone once or twice a week. And you'd mentioned the idea of it. You talked about ones in the past of that, This Week in Grip and stuff like that. And I just thought that the sport, really needed something like that. I knew you had the passion for it. You knew a lot about it. You were already pretty involved for someone that, wasn't even that long into the sport. And yeah, I remember you discussing, and you we were on the phone, like I said, and you ran the idea by me, and I was all for it. I knew you'd be great at it, and I think there was a need for it, which is, clearly the case, considering how successful the show's been and how much everyone likes it. And then, fast forward, you sent me a message, guess what I did today? And you came back, you had a picture of a new laptop, and you had your headset and a microphone, and that was it. And then, when
trying to just do a couple extra steps to make it decent, or at least I didn't want to, I don't know. I wanted to do a little bit of homework, or just get some very basics in place before I just jumped in and started I don't know, get into it a month and you just have 4 weeks of stuff that you don't even know what you're doing, and it's all messed up and you can't.
Different caliber. Yeah.
Yeah. I just,
Well, it was, it was a premium product from the start, and I was like, wow, he's into it. This is cool, man. This is exciting. And then when you asked me to be the first guest, I was pretty honored about that. And you've had me back a few times, and it's been great.
Yeah, I kind of wanted that animated intro. I kind of selected some of those quotes from some famous grip people, in our sport, and kind of put those together, that I felt like that would kind of lead into an intro. So I just wanted little things like that in place ahead of time. That way it's not just hey, I'm live streaming, come look at me talk. I kind of wanted to sort of package it in a way that at least got it off to a decent start, even if there were some, bumps in the road or some things to kind of a learning curve. And yeah, no, I thank you for doing the episode as well, because I kind of asked several people back then. I don't necessarily remember what all was going on, but I do remember the order of the guests and how I interviewed people. But we I want to say, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this. Did we record the first time, or did we have to back it up because the time zone difference, and you called me on a different day and I wasn't ready for it, or you called me and I thought it was a day after? And I just was oh, we got to just do it anyway. I'm ready.
That's exactly how it was. So
okay.
Because of the time difference.
You're 14 hours ahead.
You thought it was my tomorrow, and I thought it was today. And then I just rang you. I'm like, are we going or what? And you're like, what do you mean? This is tomorrow. And I go, is it? And then you're like, what the heck? Let's just go for it, and we'll see what turns out. And we went for it, and it was great. And it was just off to
Yeah, we're just
We're
like, yeah, if it
flicking it from the
sucks, we're not
start.
posting it. Yeah, if it sucks, we just won't post it. We'll try again another day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But no, I think it turned out pretty well. And
Yeah.
the only mistake I made with that one was the dual speaker thing in the editing process. So like if you watch it on TV, if you listen to it on a single speaker like a phone, it sounds perfect. But if you have headphones on or anything like that, or like in a vehicle, if you're to listen to it, it just
Okay.
plays out of the left speaker. So that was like the first mistake I did for that. And I've only done it on one other video ever since. But
Yeah.
with it having as many views as it did, and most people listening to it like YouTube or Spotify or probably, phones,
Yeah.
I didn't want to like take away all the views or re-upload. And I might go back in and fix that at some time if I can. But that was like one of the things that bugged me out the gate was I was like, I'll never make that mistake again. And I ended up doing it one more time for an episode. But but yeah, that was like part of the learning curve too, was just like figuring out, what am I doing? People were like, hey, I can only hear it in the left side. And I'm like, oh God, like first episode's gonna
Yeah.
suck. But it turned out all
No,
right.
no, no.
Um
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and yeah, and then from there, like I said, I mean, I went on and kind of tried to, I kept a pretty good pace up that first couple months, trying to do about one a week. And then,
Yeah.
things kind of, as competitions took off, then the recaps kind of came in, some other things sort of expanded a bit. Um, but just some quick things I was going to go over, Joe, and you can help
Yeah.
me if you have any of the numbers with you. Um, but for this, so for 2 years of the Grip Show being a thing, since our debut episode, um, I believe I have 32 episodes that I've labeled episodes, but I don't count
Okay.
recaps as episodes. So if you look
Okay.
at like the episodes, those are like one-on-one interviews or like the Inch Dumbbell or Blob Special. Those are almost like what I count as like episodes. And then if it's
Yeah.
a recap or like a product review, sometimes that's not really like a technical episode. It's I kind of just
Oh, okay.
categorize it different. But we have basically, with the one-on-one episodes and like the Inch Bell special, the Blob special, um, there's 32 episodes of that all range from probably an hour or more to some of them even close to 3.5. Um,
Three
depending on,
hours, 40 minutes. The Inch?
yeah, you said
Yeah.
340.
340.
Yeah, we had like what, 5 or 6 people on that one too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
That was great.
it was a
Yeah.
big lineup, and that's been a
Yeah.
popular episode. But so we've had 20 plus full length interviews with some of the sport's best lifters and competitors, people that have history in the sport, things like that. Even if they aren't actively competing, going back in time and bringing some people back that had
Yeah.
involvement. So
Well
that's just
founded.
that. Then I think we have close to 40 recaps on the channel. So 40 competitions have been covered, and I got some more recaps on the way with some of these regionals that just kicked off. But 40 recaps, I know there's 140 uploads. We have 8 gym tours where we've toured different lifters, in their home gym spaces and stuff. So there's a decent amount of material on there for the time the show's been around, and it's kind of varied. You can kind of mix it up, and it's not just one format. So I think that that's good, and that stuff's going to kind of keep evolving over time. Um, I'm not big on the whole like beg people to like, subscribe, and do this. I'm not like going to cheerlead. You know what I mean? If people like it and they feel moved by it, share it, subscribe, do all that. But I'm not out here like begging you to follow me or begging share this. And I'm not bugging people. You know what I mean? Like it'll grow naturally, and you either like it or whatever.
Yeah.
Watch all the
Yeah.
episodes and never subscribe. I don't care. Like whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I will say, for YouTube currently, I think the last time I checked, YouTube subscribers, the show was up to like 860 something.
Yeah.
And I would like to get that up to 1,000 over time. I'm not necessarily a rush, but I would like to get the YouTube subscribers up over 1,000. Um, total views. I don't do any shorts, so there's no shorts feeds on Grip Show yet. So there's never been a short, like reel type video. Um, it's always been long form. So every video that I do is either a clip from a full interview or it's a kind of a longer form discussion. So for those videos, you're not going to typically get the same viewership as like a short where it's just a quick burst. Um,
Yeah.
but the show has over 60,000 views on YouTube right now. Um,
Wow.
combining all the videos together. There's over 60,000 views on the channel. Like I said, closing in on 900 subscribers. It's not bad, you know. It's steadily growing, but those are just some places where we're at right now. I don't know if you have anything that you've seen or have thought of, but that's just some numbers
Man,
I wanted to put out there.
you've got it's just had it's had so much popularity for such a weird, super niche sport that generally people try it and they love it, or they try it and they're like, I don't get it. So to
Mhm.
have so much, to have so many people like it and enjoy it and love it is just incredible. Like the Blob episode goes for 3 hours and you've had over 600 views. The Inch episode, 3 hours 40 minutes, and it's got 1,400 views. Where on YouTube are people watching a 3 hour and 40 minute video? It just
Yeah, I
doesn't
mean,
happen. The,
no,
the,
and
the, the people that are into this sport are so into it and they
yeah,
love it. And I'm the same. We tend to be all or nothing kind of people. We're really right into grip. We're right into this. And, you've got the passion and it's all you think about and it's all consuming. And, but, the point I make is that, for such a niche little thing to have so many views on some, big products, it's amazing. It's fantastic. You know,
I
you
think
should be
another
really.
big. Oh, sorry, Joe. Keep going. I didn't mean to cut you off
Oh, I
there.
was just going to say, you should be really happy and proud. It's amazing.
I have been. I mean, over time, there was definitely some ups and downs. The first year, I was like, man, should I even keep doing this show or should I just quit? I was like, and then some things kind of developed and things started going a certain way, and I was like, you know what? Like, I kind of found the bigger purpose for the show, and I kind
Yeah.
of found some other reasons to kind of be a driving force to start keep putting more stuff out and kind of step it up a bit. Um, but yeah, I think that's just some basic stuff there. I would like to say another thing that the show has done this year, and we're going to get into all these submissions and questions and stuff. I'm just kind of giving a little bit of an intro here still. One of the things that I've tried to do for the Grip Show is it's not like I have a business that I'm running right now. I'm not saying that maybe it wouldn't turn into that in the future. There's possibilities and things, but
Yeah.
right now I'm not, yeah, I sell some banners. I do sell some stuff for merchandise things here and there. And I have plans to kind of bring a lot more stuff back, some newer things for sale or purchase that relate to the show or relate to training and stuff. So there's going to be more things in the future, but it just takes time to kind of get some of the stuff rolling and kind of efficiently to where I could get it out to people and make sure that it's not like running behind or I can't deliver. So yeah, I do want to get some more like, bring uh like shirts and other things back, the gripper setting kits, things like that. I want to get back in on a lot of that stuff, and there's some other new ideas that I'm going to be approaching with that. But one of the big things was not just to interview people with the show, but like I mentioned, do the recaps. And then I'm thinking, okay, well, we're recapping these shows to kind of give everybody across the world or these different regions and, different, countries, give them
Yeah.
their exposure, give them their credit and kind of put some of them on the map or make them become, bigger names or just, kind of build the sport up that way by just having recognition in a place where things have been documented and they can check in with it. So the other side of that is also one of the big complaints that has been thrown around for probably several years is, you know, there's the pro division, which is, kind of has some loose qualifications or not even really official standards as it gets closer to signing up. Anyone can kind of show up and hey, I'm a pro. But you pay money and you don't make money, and that doesn't really line up with being a pro. So one thing that I did the first time was really with Ben Helms when we did Heavy Hands. Was we were like, we're gonna even if we do take a loss, like we're not a business. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like sitting
This
around
is out of your
wondering.
own pocket.
Yeah. So, but
Mm.
we wanted to make sure that like if we're gonna do this thing and we're gonna attract people out of state, out of country, even for just a local competition, like it needs to be worth somebody's time. There has to be something on the line, like what's going to attract big lifters. So we poured a lot into kind of the prize packages and things like that. And that's where it really kind of kicked off for me was late 2023 for that competition. So this year, don't want to go too crazy on it. But some of the stuff that the Grip Show has done that I don't think people might be aware of is behind the scenes sponsoring competitions. So by sponsoring competitions, that could be uh, me setting like, credit card sets with the Grip Show logo on them. It could be setting kits that I've sent to people. It could be sending people banners. It could be sending them cash prizes for events or the event winners, and that can get split up. Things like that. So I've tried to put more incentive for the athletes and everybody in our sport in general. So if we just go over some of the stuff for just 2025, I'm not counting, older stuff. If I just talk this year, um, the show has roughly, I'm doing rough numbers here, um, roughly this year. So we're about a little over halfway through the year. The Grip Show probably donated to different competitions. A total of around maybe $1,200 to $1,300 just for cash prizes. So that wouldn't count. That doesn't count. Like I said, like setting kits or throwing a bunch
Yeah.
of stickers and banners in there. Some of that stuff's just free or whatever, or
No,
whatever I
who,
give.
who, who else is doing that? Who else is doing that? Like,
I do think
I
some
know, I know
people.
there's other company
Yeah,
donating and stuff like Nemesis,
yeah,
Arm and Assassin, and all that. They always get behind
no,
these
yeah,
events.
mhm,
But
for sure.
who's putting cash up? Like, that's amazing. It just goes to show how much interest you have in the sport progressing and making it
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the things I just didn't
evolve.
like seeing was like, and I'm not trying to get caught up on like the wording of like, oh, pro or not pro or whatever, um, and all that. So I'm not trying to like, I don't know, get into dictionary definitions or whatever. All I'm saying is like, if you're going to travel and spend thousands of dollars and go to a world championship and the best thing you can get is like one monkey grip rope, that doesn't balance out. That doesn't sit well with me. Um,
Mm,
you know, like, okay,
yeah.
here's like a $30 piece of rope and you can put it on the bar and lift with that. Like, I could make that myself. What, you know, I drove 10 hours to Florida. Uh, you train your ass off to do all this stuff. And then literally, I mean, you pay 125 bucks or something to sign up for a t-shirt. You get your medal if you podium. And then if you're like Carl or the top of the top, it's like, oh, well, no, there's no money. Just here's this, here's a monkey grip. Take that home. And you're like, it's a little underwhelming considering the amount of just the amount of dedication and the level at which some of these people lift. I mean, you
Yeah.
you you include. I mean, in some of our past. I mean, it's just we're a part of it too. But I mean, there are certain people at the top of the biggest stages that have, I mean, set world records that have done the craziest lifts, and I mean, there's still thousands of dollars out of pocket, and it's like, why would you even call yourself a pro? So, with that being
Yeah.
said, some of the things that I've tried to do is just put a little bit more cash into these things so that when someone leaves, they can say, "Yeah, I did get paid to do this sport. I do grip and I get paid to do grip." So it might not be the most, it might not be the big Happy Gilmore check or something that that you're getting
Well,
when you win something, but
yeah, even just a little bit of reimbursement for your outgoings
yeah.
to show up and do your best like that. You probably put the rest of your training and your goals aside to prepare for it. And then, most of them have got kids and spouses, and now you're gonna leave for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days to go overseas for it. You're taking time off work, you're leaving the kids with the wife or with your parents or whatever, and then you're paying, lots and lots of money. Travel's expensive, accommodation's expensive, food's expensive. It's like $6 for a coffee here. And if you're away from home, you're buying everything. You don't quite often don't have it with you. And then how many times can you do that? It's hard to maintain, you know. And like you said, we've all got a shed full of grip tools. To get the prize is better than nothing, obviously, and that's great,
Yeah.
Uh, but
Like I said, I
it
don't
would be
want to pat myself on the back too much and go crazy with it, but I just
even a
wanted,
little bit of financial reimbursement.
yeah. Well, I just thought it would be nice, like if somebody goes to lift in a sport that maybe years ago, it's like, there's not really anywhere after the competition. Like no one's talking about my
Yep.
lifts or I can't really follow up with how these results are. Well, now they do have recaps that they can kind of follow up and
Yeah.
see, or if they missed a competition, maybe they, you know, find out about other people's results that they may be competing with soon, and they can kind of, not scout
Yeah.
your opposition, but you know what I mean? Like to some extent, it just puts
Yeah.
that information there for whoever wants it. And then
Yeah.
if people can get, like I said, some level of financial gain from it, it kind of legitimizes the sport, or it kind of adds to that, like, okay, yeah, we're not making NFL checks, but
No, that's
what's the
right.
most somebody's ever paid you to lift that stuff before this? Okay, well, we're moving in the right direction, like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
any monetary amount to pick up random odd objects, I would take, like it's better than
I,
nothing.
I would have done it for free. So to get $50 is pretty
True.
cool.
Yeah. So just real quick, without me, like I said, getting too wild. This is not counting the like banners or other stuff that I've thrown in. This is strictly just the cash stuff. But I put $100 towards Greenville Grab. GSI Nationals had a big turnout amongst different people that won certain things or defended their titles and stuff, so it was split up different. But $450 total was spread out amongst people for GSI Nationals. $300 was sent to Canadian Nationals, $200 to Australian Nationals, and then I want to say some like merchandise and some things was I just shipped that out to the Stronghold grip competition coming up in Maine to Ronnie Bossy.
Cool.
So that kind of pushed it up to close to that, like, $1,200, $1,300 mark. And that's just, like I said, it's just spread out over, 5, 6, 7 competitions this year that have kind of just been on the radar and trying to get some, some extra stuff. Like if somebody wins a gripper event, maybe here's some setting blocks. Hey, you win this inch dumbbell farmer walk, boom, here's $100 for that. Like just putting it in places like that to where it's kind of spread out and makes a little bit of an impact.
That's straight out of your pocket, mate.
Oh, no. The grip show, it's like I got like 70 employees here. You guys just don't see them because they're out here in the warehouse. This is no, yes. When I say the grip show, sponsored, it essentially, now don't get me wrong, I am so thankful for everybody that's ever done an interview with me on here and contributed.
Of course.
But yes, when I say the grip show sponsors something, that just means I send you money.
Means
So,
you.
yeah, because I'm not really selling a whole lot of stuff. It's whatever. So, yeah,
You're running loss.
that is true. Joe, from there, is there any way that you would? Oh, let me think here. Is there anywhere you want to kind of jump in with some of these submissions? Some of these we might spend more time on. Other stuff we might. It might be a quick answer, But yeah, I don't know. Do you have anywhere you wanted to start specifically?
We could do that, or we could like recap on some stuff we've noticed over the last couple of years since we started.
Okay,
whichever way
and some of those questions do involve kind of the last 2 years.
Yeah,
like
okay.
people ask us about that, so that might come up a couple times, or
Okay,
we might have a different take on it.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm going to look at. I'll start off with an easy one real quick, okay? Just getting into some people. I put up on the Instagram story for the Grip Show page. People could submit questions, comment, whatever they wanted. They could just submit things they wanted to hear us talk about, things things relating to the show and grip. So one of them, this is easy because it's not really a question, but Josh Culpepper said, "Congrats on 2 years. Keep up the great work." So thanks, Josh, for that. I had the chance to meet Josh at 2022 Nationals when Jed hosted that up in Pennsylvania. But I met Josh there. That was my first Nationals. That I think might even have been his first grip competition, but it was definitely his first Nationals. So, yeah, no, it's cool to, I just saw Josh at.
He's a strong guy.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's easy. No, yeah, he's definitely, and he's gotten a lot stronger since when we first met. He's improved on a lot of things as well. And it's just good to see people stick around. I mean, 3 years later, it's like, hey, I met you at the 22 Nationals, and now it's, 2025, and he's traveling, multiple states, and he's still, competing. So, yeah, keep up the good work, Josh, and thanks for, thanks for, supporting the show and watching it and everything there. Let me see here. Da, 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 da. If I go from there, Joe, I'm kind of just gonna. I might skip around on a few, but I'm kind of just going down my list.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right.
da, 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 da. Okay. This one comes in from Austin Grabs. And this is like IG names or something. I'm not necessarily saying they're everybody's full name and nobody really messaged me saying they wanted to stay anonymous really. Um,
Okay.
so if I throw your name out there and you didn't want it, I'm sorry, but I'm probably not going to like go full name or I might be using some your tag names or something. But Austin Grabs.
Well, what
Uh,
we're naming and shaming, they better be good questions.
so this is an interesting one, Joe. We'll see if we can kind of come up with something here because this isn't
Yeah.
like pre-thought out. I mean, some of the stuff I have some notes on, but this is going to be kind
Yeah.
of in the moment. So Austin Grabs wants to know what are the current competitive rivalries in grip sport, and are there any historical ones that we could know? So maybe competitive rivalries between um, people in the sport, whether it be past or the current ones that are going on now. Um, I think there could be some it's tough for me because when you hear rivalry, you often think bad blood. But in our sport, there's not really a whole lot of the bad blood. It's just the rivalry just means, oh, well, you both are really good and you maybe take turns, taking first and second and battling each other. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you have anything to throw in there, I can come up with some stuff here. But any rivalries,
Uh,
like I said, it's
I've
just
I've been off the scene for quite a while with injuries and whatnot, and my ongoing battle with social media. So I'm not I'm not super up to date with all that sort of stuff. I
okay.
know that Luke Reynolds was trying to push Carl at a few competitions and things for a while, and now Henry Mullet, he's
Mhm.
he's sort of burst onto the scene, and he's potentially pretty good challenger for Carl. It's which is really cool to see because Henry's a good guy and he's pretty amazing, and it feels like it's been quite a while since someone could really push Carl. So that's exciting to see.
Yeah.
Uh, in the lower weight classes, there's some really good competitions going on between the lifters. There's some really good strong lightweight lifters. Will Fugel, he's really strong. Isaac Pitt, super strong. Will Reed, have you seen his training?
Yeah,
He's a
no,
machine.
he's always doing a
He
different lift
he's
or different stuff every day. I mean, and it's not your typical. It's different from whatever else is on your timeline. I'll say that for like Will's creativity or his ability to mix it up and kind of train
yeah.
well-roundedness. Um,
Carter
yeah,
Colo. I can't quote their weight classes and around that weight class, like Ben Cozzy, he dropped a few kilos and then he just sort of won three weight categories. He's
mhm.
sort of hovering in between the classes. So I won't go into strictly what they were in, but they're the main ones that I've sort of noticed.
Okay.
Um,
And then, I mean, if we talk like
yeah,
rivalries, for me personally, like where we have two people that kind of maybe go back and forth. Now, I know they typically will split up into different weight classes, but another one is
yeah,
like Alexi and Carl is kind of
yeah, yeah,
typically that, California region. And usually it's, majority of it's been arm lifting USA. They have done GSI stuff in the past, depending on what it is, but they'll usually go like 125 plus or the 125 kilo class. And their numbers will usually be fairly comparable, depending on events. I'm not, saying it's like constantly a back and forth battle, but their
yeah,
numbers are fairly close to where they've both been doing the sport for so long at such a high level. You could probably say that like it's not really like a head-to-head rivalry, but it is like a good competition. When
yeah,
those two are lifting together or on the same stage, even if in different classes, it's usually cool to see. So I would
yeah,
almost count that as a rivalry, so to speak. Um,
yeah,
Another one that I would say, as he says, historical ones. And I don't know. I'd have to talk to both of them. I talk to Jed and Adam often. Those guys I've always credited for why I'm in the
yeah,
sport. But I think that back in those earlier days of grip, I think that Adam and Jed probably had a competitive rivalry because they're people, Jed's chasing the pinch record, but his axle wasn't quite up to par with like Adam's axle.
Yeah.
So Adam had the axle, but he wasn't quite as strong as Jed on the pinch at first for the Euro. So there was a good battle, and the thing was like, and this is all stuff before my time, so I've gone back in and done my homework. But with Adam and Jed, they were two very like prominent figures in what I would consider the we'll say earlier days of grip. I know there's stuff before that, but in our sport, those were some of the first two people that were making online products and actually sort of like selling information or tutorials or had DVDs online. So the fact that they were not only lifting and competing in person very often, traveling to nationals and putting it on the line, they were also basically like giving advice and techniques and training and
Yeah.
basically had like a products or business type deal going and stuff. So I feel like
Yeah.
that would make it, hey, there's another grip guy that's got a DVD out and I'm putting one out. I mean, there has to be a level of like rivalry there, and I think
Yeah.
in that respect, and like I said, I'm not speaking for either of those two guys, but I'm sure there was some back and forths on, so and so had a better day, so and so was hurt, or this happened, or you're competing a lot, and they had to deal with Andrew Derniat a lot too around that
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
Jed and Adam might have had that rivalry more so in the head-to-head or like product space, kind of doing that stuff, and Derniat would usually get the better of them, but I would almost throw him in there, that like Derniat,
Yeah.
Glass, and Jed. That there's kind of a rivalry there, I would say, even if the outcome was more, Derniat's favor. But yeah, that comes to my mind. But I think the one thing it's been cool for me since doing this is getting to know a lot of these people and the history. And I mentioned that could be partially like a bit of a rivalry at the time, or maybe some things were going on. But every time I've talked to both guys, there is that like respect that's given to the other
Of
guy.
course.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they know what the sport takes, or they know what that means when so and so did this lift. So regardless
Dedicated.
of anything else, they've always kind of been pretty quick to give credit to the other person on what was done in the past or what they're even up to today. So that's a cool thing to add.
They recognize the dedication. What about women? Can you think of some women rivalries in the sport?
Well, we have had. There's been some pretty close ones. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't say rivalry. Like it's hard to rivalry
No,
makes it sound
not-
like bad, but yeah, I
Not
got
as
you.
in,
That's a
like
question.
we're pushing
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah, I mean, we've had some close ones with like Sarah Chapello and Gabby Dixon have had some pretty
Yeah.
good ones.
Yeah.
Amy Waddles returning back to the sport and pulling some big lifts. I mean, she won the Napalm Nightmare Championship this past year, I believe,
Yeah.
and she was competing with Tammy, at that venue. So
Yeah.
I think them both being in
Yeah.
Idaho, Amy and Tammy, depending on the lifts,
Yeah.
they have potential to push each other, and
Yeah.
depending on the event lineup, that could kind of swing back and forth.
Yeah.
I mentioned Sarah and Gabby as one because if they end up in the same place, they've ended up in the same place lifting a couple times. So we have at least a couple accounts of them going head to head. And then we have some multi-venue stuff where they did similar lifts. So I think
Yeah.
that's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Cool.
And I think that we might start seeing some new ones emerge because, like as of late, depending on what weight classes people want to stay in, but Haley Gow lifted pretty well at the Arnold and had a really good
Yeah.
performance. And then as of this last year, we've seen Helen Nguyen from California
Yeah.
in that like 80 kilo women's class for like arm lifting and some. She's kind of burst on the scene to where it's like, hey, depending on who's in what weight class, like where's Tammy going to go? Where's Haley going to lift? Or is it Haley and Helen, in the same class? Like there's some pretty comparable lifts amongst some of those, stronger lifters to where I think that we've got to see them lift head to head sometimes here or a few times. But if they both, or not say they both, if all the people I'm naming kind of keep their competition schedule up and do a couple events a year, we'll probably see some more consistent data or maybe some more developing, rivalries with that. Um,
Sarah Rodwell, she's a bit injured. She's had a few injuries in a row, unfortunately,
mhm.
but it'd be really cool to see her come back to a full self and
Well,
push
yeah,
some of the
we probably
girls
should.
as well.
I
She's
say I
really
didn't
strong.
want to. I didn't want to go on a. I didn't want to do this too much, but yeah, I think was it like a tricep tear? Is that what it was? I
Sarah,
believe. Yeah.
she did a finger. Did a
Oh, was it a
finger. I
finger
think she did
thing?
a bicep and then a finger.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I'm not totally sure on the details, but yeah. So with Sarah being one of, I mean, is she the only? No, not the only, because there's been a few others, but Sarah's
Not
one of
the
the
only.
few Australian lifters that's traveled and come and done some of the
Yeah,
expo stuff. So
that I'm aware of. Yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
so
She's
yeah,
invested in it.
and since you brought it up, it kind of jogged my memory. Not to move on too quick, but I would
No.
like to wish Sarah speedy recovery, and then also former guest of the show Ben Helms uh, doing some of that goofy climbing stuff. Joe, no, I'm just kidding. You got the climbing background, but you know, but yeah, Ben went and tore his bicep doing some rock
Oh,
climbing stuff, and then kind of got infected after the surgery and some things. So, uh, I mean, Ben is a super strong grip guy that's really burst on the scene last 2 to 3 years.
oh, he's
Um,
incredible. Yeah.
and yeah, so with a lot of the athletes, like Sarah, who you're bouncing back from injuries, you mentioned you're coming back from some injuries. Yeah, we just want to wish some of these people that have, had interaction with the show or have been kind of, constant competitors, just, wish them a speedy recovery and hopefully they'll get back to doing what they're, doing. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so do you feel pretty good with the competitive rivalries? I know I didn't. Actually, you know what? I would like to cover another one. Um, they've crossed paths several times, but this year Eric cut down to 90 kg at the Arnold and
Yeah.
went head to head with Devin Lee Brown. Um,
Oh,
that it depends on the weight class or who cuts what, because there's times like Eric's been at 90 and Devin's at 80, or Devin's
yeah.
90, Eric's 100. So it's not always direct weight class to weight class, but those guys typically will lift on the same stage with 90s and hundreds are lifting or whatever. So anytime Eric and Devin Lee are doing something and they both have thick bar in the competition, that's a cool rivalry to watch for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, Eric and Devin Lee. Um, I don't want to start a rivalry, but um,
He said.
yeah, right. But I'm telling you right now, one that it wasn't, you couldn't say it was as much of a rivalry because Jed always had the upper hand. But Luke
Oh,
Raymond,
look. Yeah. Yeah.
Luke and Jed being in the same room and being training partners as long as they have,
Oh,
the last year or so, we've started to see Luke take more events over Jed and actually beat him head to head on a couple things like overall. So yeah, I think within the state to have two top grip guys like that, and you see the shift where I mean, don't get me wrong, Jed's still hitting PRs and he's still doing some great stuff. 20 plus years in the game, but
that's amazing.
Luke has hit a couple extra gears. I think the last year or so, and
Mm.
I look for Luke to be really pushing Jed, or that's going to be a good back and forth for the rest of this year
Yeah.
or next year. Those guys are going to have some close calls, I think.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't know any other rivalries. I'm trying to just think of anything that's popped into my head. I've been to a lot of competitions and watched a lot, but
You and me, mate.
me and you, oh, you
Whatever.
don't want none. You don't want
You don't
none.
want no part of. You don't want no part of this. I don't know if we've ever been in a competition in the same weight class.
I think
I was
I don't know
heavier.
because
I
you
think
were heavy, I
maybe
was
you might
lighter, and then we
be
switched.
heavier than me now.
Yeah, I'm sure we were at some point. I don't know. I'd have to look at it. I don't know. But regardless, I think it kind of went the same way with the weight, though. It's like when you were like no injuries,
Yeah.
and I was first joining, your numbers were just burying me. I wasn't close. You know what I mean? And then by the time I got kind of stronger and put on some weight and kind of stopped doing as much of the fight training and stuff, I packed on some more muscle, was dedicating more time to lifting. And then you kind of had like some back stuff and some injuries, and then it's like, oh, my
Yeah.
lifts kind of went up, and then you kind of dropped off a bit. So yeah, we haven't. I don't know that we've really had a direct head-to-head thing, but like when we did King Kongs and you were healthy, you beat me pretty handily. So I don't know.
Wow.
I still think I would need
I,
a special event lineup to catch you on some stuff.
oh,
You know,
you look. Everyone's
but
got to have their right, the right
yeah,
lifts on the right day. I think you've been doing some amazing stuff lately. I've got no doubt you'd beat me in a competition now,
I don't
and that's
know.
really
Bring
that's really cool.
bring the tips tester out. I'll pop a couple pulleys off, and you can just lift like 500 pounds on it.
There's four implements. There's the tips tester. There's the two hands tips tester.
Right? Just anything that has to do with rock
Time.
climbing, tendon, finger strength. Yeah, just try to injure me.
And there's the
Um,
adjustable stick bar.
right? Um, uh, oh man, let me see here. So this kind of will tie into the competitive stuff that we're talking about. It's not rivalries per se. This is also from Austin. Um,
Yep.
he wants to know who are some of the dark horses in each weight class, and like maybe who are some people that are getting slept on that maybe they're a little underrated. They're not quite getting their credit. Um, and I'm going to bring up some of the rankings here just to kind of look at it. Um,
I'm not going to say they've had no recognition. I don't know if you call them dark horses, but
yeah,
Clint is it
Clint Ziegler.
Zil, Clint Ziegler?
Yeah, yeah, yep,
That, he's a beast. He's a
yeah,
beast. Those who know him. But I'm not sure how much recognition he gets in America. But I've been following his stuff, and he's incredible. Same with Will Reed, Will Fuggle or Will Fugle. Sorry, buddy. The stuff he lifts is amazing. I don't know if
yeah.
anyone knows him over there, but he is insane. Tom Denmead, he's been mentioned a few times in King Kong's gone past, but his weight class, far out. He does not get enough recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn Hunter, he's creeping right up quick. He's been in the sport for a long time now, before me, and his numbers just keep getting better and better every year. Isaac,
Yeah.
his V-bar, holy crap, he is absolutely above world class. Like he's lifting with the guys that weigh 70 kilos more than him and keeping up.
Yeah. He's had a pretty good year, especially this last several
Yeah,
competitions. He seems like he's made some big jumps, and
yeah,
also been very like involved in the hosting side of things and kind of promoting, you know.
yeah,
So that's been good as well for him over there, kind of running some competitions and just keeping really just growing the sport. Because I mean, I'm going to get back to the same question, but I mean, we had the second year that Australia ran its nationals for grip sport.
yeah,
We have what am I thinking? Some of the regionals that have kicked off in different regions now in the U.S. And then Canadian nationals. We had the U.S. grip nationals. So we have like a lot of different countries and stuff that are actually, I don't know, internationally staying with it and holding
yeah,
consecutive competitions, and it's typically seems to
yeah,
be picking up with competitors, and the weights seem to be going up. So it looks like it's all moving in the right direction to me. It just takes time to
yeah,
get this stuff rolling and build something kind of from the ground up, or maybe take something and start, hey, we need a whole territory over here. We need somebody 7,000 miles away to start hosting. Like, well, it's not the easiest thing
yeah,
just to jump up and make happen. So it is cool that everybody's putting in effort, and
yeah.
the community's really kind of added legitimacy to our sport overall by just the people promoting and lifting and everything. If okay,
Just while I think of it, in the UK, there is so many new lifters come through with all the gods of grip competitions that Tom Lymouth has started.
yeah,
There is crazy strong guys over there that aren't getting a lot of airtime around the rest of the world, but
very true.
they're strong.
Tom himself
Tom himself,
is crazy.
obviously.
Yeah,
Paddy Haynes. There's,
Patty Haynes. I mean, he's been killing it on like World's Strongest Man. Would he take fifth?
yeah.
think he took fifth at World's Strongest Man, and he's won a couple other big competitions too. I'm sorry that I'm blanking on what that event was. Like, oh, it was a Giants Live or
No, I'm
England.
not.
I don't,
Yeah.
I can't quote it right now. I don't have it in front of me, but he's performing with some of the best strongmen in the world.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, he's right in the mix with those people. Very young and has a good, promising future. But yeah, he's also a hell of a grip guy. I
Yeah.
mean, he's with those
Yeah.
people, and they have what am I thinking of? Ross, Tiny, Ross
Oh,
Boyle.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
man, like some of his rolling handle lifts and some of the other stuff, he's really just getting started, and it's
Yeah.
almost like a Henry, like Henry Mull. It's like you see these people, and it's like they're only in the sport for like a year or less, or they have a handful of competitions, but their numbers are like, God, I don't even know where these people are going to end up because the ceiling is like almost limitless for them. So
Well, like
good
it
call.
sort of it almost gets diluted on Instagram if you're scrolling through that and you see, oh, there's another guy with another rolling handle, and then you pause for a minute on one of Ross's lifts or something, and you're like, that's how much? You're like, holy shit! Like,
Yeah.
far out, man. There's some beasts out there.
Absolutely. But yeah, good call on the UK lifters because they've really kind of been really building their own scene and kind of have their own circuit going, and they're doing a great job with that. So I try to stay in tune with it
Yeah.
as much as I can. But I mean, covering the entire world with the more venues keep popping up, it's harder and harder to keep up with some of the stuff. But yeah, no, I'm fully aware of a lot of the UK lifters. Oliver Dilly's another one. He had a good King Kong
Yeah.
performance, and he's done some great feats. So
Yeah.
those guys are, yeah, they got a solid crew for
Yeah,
sure.
their names are slipping my mind. A lot of people only know them from their Instagram names as well, which is on
True.
me being rude. But so to think of someone's name, I know what they look like. I've seen all their posts, but
Yeah. Um,
apologies.
oh no, you're good, Joe. Like I said, we're just kind of, this off the top of the head. A lot of this stuff is. I would say, like I said, it's tough to say, like a dark horse, but
Yeah,
I'm looking at the women's, and this is just off Eric Roussain's, Canadian grip sport, his North American rankings. So it's technically I'm only going off of a list based on North America here, but I don't want to mess up the name. But I don't know if it's Jaquise Robertson or Jaquise Robertson, but she pulled a really huge axle for the women's
oh,
division at the Arnold. Um, has tremendous strength. It's just I'll have to just follow along and kind of see how the other events or what the numbers look like as she competes more and more. But right now, for the North American rankings, she is in the women's overall top 10, ranked sixth right now. And she's fourth in the 84 plus kg class. So the people in front of her are Sarah Chapello, Gabby Dixon, Amy Waddles, and then you have her right there. And then also Hafsa Mason. She won the competition that Will Giuliani hosted. I think
oh
California's
yeah,
Strongest Hands. She won that. So I think those two being right there in that weight class at fourth and fifth, and actually being in the top 10 for women's overall, with this being kind of their first year into this sport and seeing the kind of like max power they have, like on axle or other lifts like that. I think that they have a really good future if they choose to keep competing. But those might be names that are a little bit newer, less competitions, and people might not be aware of them. But I have
yeah.
to bring them up.
But someone that's fourth in a competition, that's a good couple of months, and you're second, maybe first.
Yeah. Um, I will say Daniel Evanson, if you're familiar with her. Um,
I'm not sorry.
I bet you are if you saw the videos. But Daniel
Yeah.
Evanson out of Wisconsin. I don't want to mess this up or misspeak or do something wrong here, but I want to say Danielle is dating, married, I don't know, in a relationship with Tim Connors. So if you know Tim Connors, like Tim the Moose
Oh,
Connors, like pinch the deep dish plates, but
oh yeah.
um,
She's the Hellraiser.
yep, exactly. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
you
yeah,
got the IG name,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
The Instagram.
Yep. But Danielle Evanson, I mean, from everything from the arm wrestling she's been doing and kind of
Yeah,
getting a little more active on the grip
yeah.
scene, I look for her to, you know, I don't know, give people some trouble on some events. She'll take some events from people that generally sweep a class, and she's in there beating them. So yeah, you got to give her some credit,
Oh,
and
Tim,
she's strong all around, not just grip wise. I mean, that's like the full strength deal. She's working on everything. Um,
Tim himself's a dark horse. He is super
yeah,
strong.
if he chooses to compete, he's right
He's a
there.
beast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
Tim was at the first Arnold I competed at. That's when I first saw him lift. But I remember Tim first kind of bursting on the scene with the Rogue deep dish plates had come out, and they were like stupid slick with that like glossy black paint, and he was the first person to pinch a pair. So that was my first introduction to Tim, was watching him pinch those slick Rogue 45s deep dish. And yeah,
yeah,
he's improved and gotten stronger and come back from some injuries and stuff. And he's probably I don't want to speak for him, but he's probably sitting about as strong as he's ever been in some of these lifts.
yeah. I believe
Um,
it. Yeah.
oh, like I said, I don't want to. I could go on and on with some of this stuff, but let me see. That's the men's overall. I'm kind of just skipping around. You know, I would say you can't call these people dark horses because they've been winning stuff, you know.
Right.
But
Captain Bag.
sometimes, you watch stuff or you hear people talk or you see comments or I watch videos of everybody getting tagged in something, and it's typically the same names, you know. Hey, I
Yeah.
saw Carl doing this. Saw Carl doing that. I did it, Carl, and you're like, oh God, is Carl the only person that has a training idea? I'm joking around a little bit,
No, no,
but
I know what you're
you just see kind of trends and what's getting posted, who's tagging what, and what happens. But um, if I just go through some of the masters lifters here, Rob McMurrin is an excellent lifter to watch. I mean, he'll do like
He is strong.
Zercher stuff off the ground. He's lifting like an axle every day. He just pinched those 250-pound pancake plates like 3 or 4 days in a row. And he's just a strong dude and like just a physical, just like monster when it comes to some of these things. I mean, lifting the inch bell, pinching plates. He's also, what was it? I think he just beat Eric in Canadian Nationals.
Yeah.
I think he took second, and I believe Eric took third. I believe. I don't want to be
Oh,
wrong. I
yeah.
have to go back. I'm the one that's doing the recaps, and I'm still like not sure. But Rob has been like neck and neck with Eric on a lot of lineups and beat him maybe a time or two, or maybe most recently in that one. Um, but Rob's not somebody you're seeing everybody tag or talk about in shows, so that's a good one. Like I said, by no means would I ever consider Steve Millard a dark horse, because it's like he's not a dark horse. He's a veteran, top-notch competitor. But not a lot of people are tagging Steve Millard and talking about him and everything else. So uh, Steve
All
is
right.
another one on that Masters list that I'm not calling him a dark horse. He's just a veteran competitor that any event lineup he could come in and take victories and kind of take over. Um,
Steve's incredible. And you know what else? He's one of the nicest guys.
mhm,
He'll tell you anything from the start of entering the sport. He was super supportive.
mhm.
You know, he's got a wicked sense of humor. He runs
Yeah.
competitions. He's great.
Yeah, no, like I said, Steve, I've never heard a bad word about Steve in the 5 years I've been around the game. Steve's
No.
been super cool and I mean just ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
And Al Block is a good Canadian lifter. Um,
Yep.
another
Yep.
lifter. Like I said, I can't call him a dark horse because Adam Cohen's been lifting really great. But for a Masters lifter, I mean, Adam Cohen, he's a guy that doesn't have to be in a Masters class if he doesn't want to be. I mean, he could be in the Masters, he could be in the Open. His lifts are just good.
Yeah.
Like he's
Yeah.
just strong, So
Yeah.
um, got to give a shout out to just some of those guys. That's just me kind of breezing through the Masters there. Um, another person I would say that's kind of a dark horse that's improving is Derek Hudson. Derek Hudson had a pretty decent showing at Gripsport Nationals. I think some of the events were a little bit different than maybe what he was used to, but he took third to Carl and Henry at the Arnold. So Derek took a bronze medal at the super heavies, and then I think with a
Yeah.
little bit more time, I mean, Derek is, Derek's getting invites to big competitions. He's putting up great numbers with some of the strongest, heaviest guys on stage. So he sticks
Yeah.
around. I mean, that's a guy that, he obviously podiumed at the Arnold, and I mean, how many big giant dudes were on stage up there, you know? And he was, Carl Henry, boom, right there was Derek, So
Pretty amazing.
trying to scroll down through these classes and get through this question, but I don't want to leave anything out, and I want to be thorough in what I'm doing,
No, I know. I know.
So,
It's hard
um, some lifters here at the 120 class I'm looking at around that range. I feel like everybody's more familiar with Tremaine or Trey up in Canada
Yeah.
now that he's hosted, been active, and him and Eric have gone back and forth and had some pretty good battles up there. Um,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good, competitive rivalry, if we want to say, between him and Eric. They've had some good close competitions. Um, I don't think Brad Provic has been super active recently, but Brad's a name that anytime he chooses to show up, over there in Canada, I mean, great potential. And yeah, he's always in the top. I mean,
Yeah.
he's always been around.
That's Brad the Bus.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. You got to keep going back and forth between the code names. No. Um, let's see. If I go 105 class, and like I said, 105, that depending on where they cut, they could be 100, they could be 110, and then they make 105. So I'm not only doing that, but someone that I think has done great the last couple times here competing, especially Cliff Keener. Cliff Keener is a lifter out of Ohio here. He has been in the game for quite a while, stepped away for a bit, came back the last few years. Cliff is so strong. It's insane. Cliff beat me and Yvonne at the Arnold for the 100 kilo
Wow.
class. So, I mean, Cliff has won that competition. He's right there. I mean, he took second behind Eric at the Olympia I did back in 2023. Cliff is a name that, he does not have a big social media presence. He's not posting his training. He does not really care about any of that stuff. But when he shows up, he pulls off some of the most entertaining and wildest lifts when it counts. So, got to give a shout out to Cliff Keener. And honestly, since I started in this sport, someone that I felt like that's gotten overlooked around our weight class, Joe, is Andy Muncie.
Ah,
Andy Muncie
overlooked?
is so
is he
strong.
overlooked? He's pretty.
What's that?
He said, "Is he overlooked though?"
To me, I think it is because oftentimes I don't know, maybe not. In my opinion,
suppose
I guess maybe he's not overlooked, but I still think that people should know his name more,
Yeah,
or maybe
I
he
agree.
should have
I
more praise.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, people are very aware of Andy and his track record, but
Sorry, my phone's going flat, so I've got to chase a lead so I can put the charge.
okay, now you're good, man. Like I said, it's pretty relaxed. I'm not too worried.
Yeah, man.
Get
Oh, good.
through some of those.
Sorted.
This Tanner Merkel guy, I think he's a dark horse. I'm joking.
Who? Tanner who?
Tanner Merkel.
He's I see him do a few lifts lately,
Yeah.
which is really and Adam's back doing plate curls.
Adam's
like he-
been killing the
like,
plate
like he
curls.
always had.
Adam's killing the
Tanner
plate curls.
200 bell pretty level, and I think did I see him do a big axle somewhere as well?
He might have. I mean, when he was competing, he did axle in some competitions this year and was lifting like
Yeah.
mid fours. Yeah, lifting like mid 400 pounds, like 450s or something. So
Man, that's cool to see those guys back.
I'm totally joking about Tanner being a dark horse. I know everybody
No,
already
I know.
knows that, but not you. I'm just saying for anybody listening, I don't want to be like, oh, this guy doesn't know Tanner. No, it's the joke. Like, I mean, we know who Tanner is. Going back through. Yeah, I don't think I need to, maybe ramble too much. There's some good lifters emerging. I wouldn't necessarily say they're dark horses, but yeah, there's a lot of prospects to keep an eye on. And yeah, I'll quit scrolling on this thing and zoning out, but just wanted to kind of get that get some of those names out there. But yeah, if you can find those people or check their stuff out, follow what they're doing. I mean, that's one way you can learn and improve your own game is just pick up on the little nuances that, these people are posting for you. They're posting their stuff for free. I mean, yeah, they're documenting their own training, but watch their setup, watch what they're training, kind of follow the patterns and, use that stuff for yourself. Because these are all great lifters we just mentioned. And all of them will train a little bit different.
And if you can compete against them, you've probably got a good chance, your best chance possible of beating them now, because maybe in a year or two, you're not going to have that opportunity to beat them again.
Yeah, no, it can be crazy how high people jump up, from doing different, I don't know, just once their training picks up and they get, they adapt to it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
next thing I'll cover here, Joe. Did you have anything you wanted to read off with what you got, or do you just want me to kind of go and cut you loose
No,
on an answer?
You can steer the ship.
Okay. This question, I want to say this was from, I'm not sure who this was from, so I apologize. I have it written down here. But they were basically saying the best method for chalking as it relates to plastic handles, aka Country Crush handles. Not that there's not like a Rolling Thunder or, maybe an RGT, something that has that kind of plastic non-steel surface. But yeah, typically the Country Crush handles are the ones that are like waxy and they don't really take chalk, or they can, but sometimes it's a fine line between too much and too little chalk, or what you need to do. What would your advice be on that, Joe? For getting the chalk right on those. Have you lifted on Country Crush stuff before to feel it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my advice would be get them and do a few lifts and then put them on eBay and don't ever think about them again. I've never had more injuries than trying to use slippery handles. I don't own any now. I don't ever lift on them. I think they're dangerous. I think it's a great concept because they spin so fast. But I think that a steel handle is hard to hold. Why do we need to make it harder than that? My personal view is I'm not a fan, don't like them, and I'll never go in a competition where you need to use them.
But if you had to chalk them, how would you do it?
Okay. Well,
we understand you're going to sell them,
wrap
but just
around it, and then chalk the tape.
Okay, I'll try to throw something else in there. Obviously, it's going to be something that you're going to have to feel in the moment, but things like, like if you're going to the restroom or you're doing something like hand sanitizer, I'm just saying, if you have some like alcohol, like alcohol wipes, or something. No tacky, no tacky, not in Russia, not in Russia right now. We had 3 guys set every record by 70 pounds. What are you talking about? No tacky. Of course not. Anyway.
Well, like like Richard Soren said, the best friction you'll ever have is when you just wash your hands fresh with soap. They're dry, just as they're dry, that's your best friction. So I would probably try that, because a lot of the time I couldn't get chalk to stick on it. And then if I did, as soon as I got to a certain weight, it would come off unexpectedly.
Yes.
If it was humid or dry, it didn't seem to make much. If it was humid, it would stick a bit, but then as soon as you get to a certain weight, it would come off anyway. If it was super dry, it wouldn't stick at all. Yeah. So if you really wanted to do it, I would try super duper clean. Like you're saying, you clean your skin, you're getting rid of all your oil and everything with an alcohol wipe.
Yeah. Or depending on, maybe wiping that handle down ahead of time with alcohol. But then let's say you got 15 people lifting or something on it. I mean, that person goes up with a block of chalk and starts scraping it on their hands. I mean, you can come up there and like wipe it with a towel and try to reset it. But the biggest thing is finding what basically feels the stickiest or what is the best traction you can get, and just trying to mimic that every time you go back up to the platform. But yeah, generally something, in my opinion, like maybe a hand sanitizer, or, just regular stuff. Like you said, soap, hand sanitizer, alcohol wipe, something that's going to sort of dry that stuff out and kind of just give you better contact and not really slipping. And then at the same time, I would add sometimes just breathing on your hands. You might have to just kind of breathe, or maybe rub your hand on the handle, kind of get, kind of heat your skin up and get it to where it kind of, sticks. Kind of like doing like the Indian rug burn type thing, You just
Yeah.
grind your hand on the handle. So I think stuff like that works best for the country crush handles. But there are some times where I've been in competitions and they just never felt good. Every attempt, I kept trying to dial it in and I couldn't figure it out. And then there's other times I'm like, okay, that's as good as it's going to get. Let me just try to duplicate that feel and run these
Yeah.
numbers up. But yeah, hopefully that
Well,
answers the question for the country crush handles.
well, the problem with the sanitizer is that, you're sort of blurring the line between that and liquid chalk.
Absolutely. No, no, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, but if like if you're just washing, you go to the bathroom and you wash your hands with soap. You know, yeah, it's maybe a fine line. I'm not saying like
No, I know
I
what
don't
you're
know,
saying,
treat it like tacky,
but you
but
could get your chalky hand, and then you could add some sanitizer, and it's now
oh,
liquid
I was
chalk.
saying no chalk. I was just gonna say
And
don't even chalk your hand. Like if you just had your
oh,
hands like clean and all the way, just
oh,
like boom, like hand sanitizer. It's just as kind of dried out as
oh,
you could get it, and then
yeah,
maybe minimal chalk or no chalk at all, probably in that case. I wouldn't be like trying to mix chalk with like
no, no,
clumps
no.
of hand sanitizer. I wouldn't go that route. That would be yeah beyond beyond what I would say is fair play.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But who knows? Maybe someone else will debate in a future episode about it. We'll see.
Oh, if there's a rule to be pushed, people will push it.
Well, we know that. We've had a couple cases of that. So um, we might get into some good stuff there as we keep moving along. One suggestion that was brought up, I think this was Justin Harmon. I think he goes by like Strongman Life on Instagram. Um, Justin said he loves the recaps and he loves the show in general. So thanks, Justin, for tuning in and checking stuff out. Yeah, I don't expect people that don't compete at a specific competition. I don't generally count on them watching other recaps. You know what I mean? Usually it's the
No,
people that compete watch the recap. But
yeah,
if somebody finds value in, maybe hearing about another competition's format or hearing about
I
how
do.
this, so yeah, I mean, if you like the recaps, awesome. And I totally understand though if someone's like, I don't know anybody at that competition, I'm not watching it. I don't fault you for that either. So that goes both ways. The other thing I believe he submitted was in the future, something he would like to see for the show is to have people like companies or people that create implements that haven't been on yet. So, like, I know I've had Luke from Arm Assassin, but maybe having some different equipment companies or, people that are producing some of our products come on and do, you know, just talk
Yeah,
about maybe some of the stuff they're making. And I did have Zach Stanowitz on recently to kind of talk about how he took on the Foundry projects and produced Bells and Blobs. So, you know,
you've had Lucas,
yeah,
you've had Zach. Um,
that might be
yeah,
mostly, I don't say mostly it for equipment, but
I've met
yeah.
you, talked about them. You've been doing it, but it'd be good to continue with more companies and stuff.
Yeah, I think it could open up another lane, even if it's just a single product or, hey, what's new for you guys this quarter?
Yeah,
What's a new product you put out? I mean, it would be a route
yeah,
that could be discussed and maybe add
yep,
another branch to the show at some point or when needed. So yeah,
yep.
definitely take it into consideration, and I don't see a problem there.
Cool.
This one comes in from Yvonne. Which Yvonne? Just
Was
joking.
he? Are
No,
we talking on or?
yeah, we're talking Yvonne Shook. Hopefully, I got that right, Yvonne. We're talking uh, the number four closer. I'm not saying certified number four, but we're talking the one of the big gripper kings. That
Yeah.
Yvonne. Um, he recommended, or something he would like to see for the show, is very similar to the inch dumbbell special
Yep.
and the blob special. He wants to see one done on grippers.
Oh,
So
good call.
that is something that I was probably already planning to do, along with other lanes of historic feats or different things. That's going to be something we cover.
Yep.
But to make this a little more interesting, Joe, if you were a viewer of the show, which you would be in the future coming up, if I did a Gripper episode, what guests would you like to see? If you could pick maybe 4 or 5 guests, who would you select for a Gripper episode that you would want to see,
Oh,
kind of like how you guys did the inch dumbbell episode with me? Who would be some of the better Gripper people that you would like to maybe see what they're up to? Or
Nathan,
Mhm.
Yvonne, um, Jason, Henry. Henry's amazing. Um,
When you say Jason, you mean Jason Dingy?
yeah.
That dude here in Ohio? Does
Oh,
he even do
I don't know where he's from.
does he
I'm
even
not.
do grippers? Is
Maybe,
he is he
maybe,
oh
maybe. Jed. Jed's obviously done lots and lots of grippers, lots of videos and competitions. I'm not really a gripper guy myself, so those are the names that sort of stand out to me as guys that have done well in competitions or feats of the past.
okay.
Uh,
That's a pretty good list. I mean, um
who would you like to see?
this is a rough draft. I'm not saying this is who I would get for the
No,
episode,
no, no, of course not. Of
but
course not.
not to be cliche, I'm going to do it. It would be tough to not include Carl with the
Oh,
COC4 and
Carl, yeah.
the GHP10, but that's the easy selection. But that I do agree with Nathan Hall for sort of that historical,
Yeah.
um, time and place of how he was closing grippers.
Joe
Um,
Kinney.
Now, is that a serious one, or is that you trying to
Yeah.
spark something?
No, I want him. No,
You want me to reach out to Joe Kenny?
I believe in Joe Kinney. I've done feats that I know I haven't lied about. But if he says he's done it, I believe him. I'd
So
like to see him go for sure.
okay, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't know because a lot of people will joke about that.
I'm a
That's a
fan.
touchy subject. You know what I mean? So I didn't know if, yeah.
No, I'm a fan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, Another one that I think is somewhat overlooked that I think could be interesting, and I'd hope that I don't mess up the last name, would be Tommy Heslop. Uh,
yeah,
Tommy Heslop is a original number 4 closer,
yeah,
and that's obviously with the old uh, qualifying process from maybe more of a parallel or deep set, whatever the case. It wasn't a credit card, okay, but
yeah,
for him being a lighter weight guy and as small as he was, he's pound for pound one of the strongest guys in grip. I mean, especially in the we'll say pioneer kind of early days. I mean, Tommy's a guy that I think almost gets overlooked in kind of the past of things, you know.
yeah.
Um, but he could be an interesting one there. Yvonne, I think, is good. Honestly, I feel bad because I keep wanting to bring him on for different feats because he is very good. But is Ben? Ben has been pulling off some of the
Oh,
biggest
man.
gripper closes that
Yeah,
we've ever seen, and he's, you know,
yeah.
he has that left bicep injury, but his right hand's still smashing grippers. So I don't know. Maybe he'll come back from the injury with better grippers.
Oh,
Um,
who? The name is totally slipping my mind. The guy that does all the ratings,
Matt Cannon.
Matt Cannon. He would be great. It'd be so good to hear his perspective on all the different brands and
Yeah.
if he's noticed any correlations between ones getting closed and between different people. And that'd be really cool to see Matt Cannon's take on it as well.
Yeah. No, there's some other things too. I'm trying to think of, oh, what was, I don't want to mess this up. We could go through some different stuff with it. Well, hell, I mean, Tanner's pretty damn good at grippers too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Tanner
yeah,
could be right there for most of that stuff as well.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm not going to waste too
yeah,
much time. I was trying to look at something else, but I don't want to, whatever. But I think that would be a pretty good gripper episode if some combination of those people gave their 2 cents, whether it be historical or the people that are, doing the biggest closes now. Um,
yeah,
and honestly, I mean, through some of the certifications, I mean, Jalen kind of burst onto the scene as a grip guy or a gripper guy, and then
yeah,
rounded out his game, much better over time now.
yeah.
But he was closing, 190s and, right around those 200s
Oh,
when
yeah,
first, that was the thing that stood out was like he closed the Mash Monster 7 before the new series was introduced
yeah,
after the grip board changed ownership.
yeah,
But he closed the MM7 live on the show. So I thought that was kind of a cool episode from the past where it was like, oh man, we actually had like a live certification on here. I was like one of the backup cameras. He already had another camera, but it was like, shit, we had a gripboard feat go live on the show. That was kind of a first for the show back then.
yeah,
Pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, Yvonne,
yeah.
Don't worry, we both said your name, so if you want to, we could probably get you on here and talk about grippers. I'm just messing. Got to give him a hard time. Um, but yeah,
No, he's
yeah,
he's
we'll
he's a
get
good
Yvonne
guy.
on here. But
He's a good
if he gets on here, he better lock in. That's all I'm saying. He better lock in.
guy.
Anyway, I'll leave Yvonne alone for now. Da, 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 da. All right. Okay. I'm going to knock these two out real quick. These are coming all the way from the great state of Virginia, all the way from the mighty grip pasture that is inhabited by Mad Cow, Jason
Oh,
Bukowski. So he's got two
oh,
that he put in here.
yeah.
I got to correct him on one of these because he's a little bit wrong, but that's okay.
Okay.
He said one of his favorite moments, and this is probably to date the funniest moment we've had on Grip Show. That obviously might be someone's opinion, but he said my favorite moment was when Eric asked the ladies if 6 inches was good enough. And I never anticipated that clip getting cropped out the way it did. But to correct the scene, it was a topic discussion, and it was me.
Oh,
So
I remember
it
it.
was not women, right? It was me, Sarah Chapelo, and Eric, and we were talking about pull height, right? So Eric's talking about pull height, but there is this pause, and he kind of stops, and he kind of goes, "So, do you sort of prefer 6 inches, or like, do you like something like, do you think that's comfortable?" And I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, Sarah, do you want to take that? Do you want to take that question? But yeah, so that was a pretty funny thing that people clipped
Cricket.
from the show was Eric talking about was the 6 inch pole height good enough. So that one was a pretty funny one that people were sending me after the show, and people had some good laughs.
I thought one of the funniest things I thought was
Chaz and the
Jason
banana.
getting banana.
Oh, Jason, yeah. Well, that wasn't on the show though, but yeah, Jason at Nationals when he cramped up, and then Jed fed him a banana, and people may or may not have got that action photo,
Yeah.
uh, on the general. So the general's walking around with two belts, but he cannot deny that there's a picture of him out there getting fed a banana by Napalm. Uh, so to finish up Mad Cal's wildness here, he says, when do we introduce tested and untested federations? I assume he means drugs, PEDs, and all that.
Mm.
And he says, Chaz and the others are on the juice. so, so, real quick, just so we're clarifying, he's referring to Chaz Strange, who is not on any form of PEDs. That is Mad Cow just talking shit and joking. Um,
So who are the others? And are they?
Oh yeah, all and the others, Chaz and the others, they're all on juice. So yeah, honestly, I've had this talk with several people. I even
Yeah.
think Gift of Grab did a thing recently where they kind of were talking about the idea of like testing. I mean, for our sport to be where it's even at, it's like, are we? How are you going to drug test people? Like, who's paying for that many lab results, or how strict is the testing to where it would even be? It's just not realistic in my opinion. And I'm not like some advocate for steroids. I've obviously explained my stance on the show numerous times with that stuff. But
Yeah.
as far as enforcing a federation or doing drug testing in grip at this point, I don't think it's even financially possible. And even if you did have people you suspected or wanted to make a clean federation, how many thousands of dollars are you going to spend to make sure that the eighth place person at the 83 kilo class isn't juicing? You got money for that. It's not happening. So, like, I don't even like to entertain, drug testing at this point for the sport because financially, I mean, people can't even get cash prizes at half their stuff. The Arnold don't even pay anybody money. You think they're going to pay 50 times what they pay to drug test 200 competitors? You're not getting it. So, unless you just want to front the money for your own drug testing. But so I don't know, Joe, any thoughts on that one for Mad Cow? When do we introduce tested and
Obviously,
untested federations? I don't know that it's
obviously,
possible.
obviously, if you're someone like myself that doesn't, you would like to think that you're competing against people that also don't do that sort of thing. But, King Kong, the biggest competition there is, there's like 300 lifters. Some of the weight classes, there's 5 people in the whole event. What are you going to have? The one guy that uses it compete against no one else, and then the 4 guys. I don't. It feels like we're too small, unfortunately. So it's just until it gets bigger, and which it may never do, and more funding. Sadly, I don't think it's a financially viable route to look at.
Yeah. I think the only place that you could possibly pull it off is if you were going to do like a one-on-one, like head-to-head super match, and you just tested those 2 athletes, like in a, like, you know what I mean? Like in a Clash of the Titans type thing, or, just you 2. But if you're talking about like 10, 20, 30 people or bigger, yeah, you go ahead and you can spend $50,000 to see if somebody's, I don't know, taking some goofy shit. Like you know what I mean? Like
Told
I
you
don't
I
know.
was clean, lifted like 30 kilos on the flask.
Right? It's like I don't get me wrong. I'm not dismissing it as a
No,
concept
no, no,
or,
no, 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 no.
but realistically, it's not something that I think is able to be applied and executed in our sport right now to the way it would need to be done. And yeah,
Sadly, it would probably there would have to be a lot of money on the line
absolutely. Yeah,
to
they're just
justify it.
funding.
Unfortunately, for the clean lifters that want to lift against clean lifters,
Yeah.
that's what it would take.
Um, okay, moving on from that. So hopefully, Mad Cow, we got your stuff answered there.
Yeah.
Uh, Isaac. So from I won't say your neck of the woods, but your region.
Down
Um,
under.
yeah. He said he would be interested in seeing a potential recap of Immortal Grip Wars. Pretty big
Right.
competition. It's got some of the biggest turnout. They've done some good footage and highlights from their past competitions, and they have great rosters and really good turnouts. They're
Yeah.
putting a lot of effort into making these series of bells and things, and just all this stuff that
Yeah.
they're producing over there to get prepped. So, yeah, I would not be opposed to doing a recap of that event, just because the turnout and the level of talent that'll be in the room at the same time. So
They actually do a pretty good recap themselves, though. Like if
true.
you ever
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. If somebody's doing their own stuff, I don't want to like try to make that about I don't want to like step on them and intrude if they have their
it
own
would
process.
it would be cool to have someone on that went there to talk about the experience.
That's
I'd
true.
like to hear about it.
Yeah, maybe I
That'd
could snag a couple people,
but
like a panel or something that was there, and
yeah, other people that went there and their experience and how they vary from different, comp to comp, and what they thought of the rules, the setup, rest times, lifting orders, all that sort of stuff. But
yeah,
as far as the recap, like they're like production series. They're high quality video put out.
yeah. Um, Next question here is from the Wine Warrior, Tammy McClure.
Oh,
Tammy said, "Will Zach be hosting North Americans?" No, no, no. Now, if somebody puts their bid in and wins North Americans and they might want some help, maybe I'll help somebody, but I'm not putting my name in the hat to be the like lone wolf that's going to carry uh the promoter burden or the whole, event construction. I'm not going to do it. I would like to go to the next North Americans and compete. I'd like to
yeah.
sponsor it. I'd like to be involved as much as I can, but I will not be the sole host. What about you? Well, you're not in North America. Oops, my bad. Oops. Hey Joe, you
Oh,
gonna host North Americans? Just fly over here and do some set up something cool for us to lift on, even though you're not from this region. No, my bad. I
yeah,
I
it'll be
slip
at
up
your
on some of these rankings when it's North American only. I start thinking that everybody's in North America.
it'll be at your house.
Yeah, that's where you're hosting it. Okay. But yeah, and then like I said, we're going to get into some of these other questions here and keep kind of digging a little bit deeper. So I think on this main page, I got 2 more things on this main page. I'm gonna try to skim through, Joe.
Okay.
Ronnie Bossy from Maine, who has the Stronghold. I think it's Stronghold 4, might be the fourth iteration of that he's hosting. He said that he would like to see in the future a episode devoted to how to inspire and encourage young people to get into the sport.
Oh yeah.
We spend a lot of time trying to pull from, strongman and other strength sports, or people that, oh, you're broken from this other, elite level sport. You can kind of walk back and still be competitive in this grip thing. But there isn't as much emphasis in general as like, maybe recruiting younger up and coming lifters. But there has been a lot more promotion with, teens lifters. And I mean, I know a lot
Yeah.
of people that compete have also had their kids lifting and doing things. So I don't know, any
Yeah.
recommendations on that? I know he's just talking about like wanting an episode that would cover that, but do you have any
Uh,
info on maybe how to encourage young people to get into the sport, or what would be a way to I don't know,
uh,
maybe spread it to that demographic as opposed to just kind of trying to pick prior strength athletes that are already like full adults?
no, I wouldn't. It
Yeah.
just I wouldn't even know how to expose them unless you like took your stuff to a climbing gym, and then you took your stuff to a gymnastics gym, and then you took it to a young karate class, or BJJ or something.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to start doing it in schools. So unless it's like, you're mainly going to get the interest of someone that is into that kind of thing anyway. They're the kind of person that wants to get stronger, and it's a pretty self-driven endeavor. Like, there's not much reward. If you don't enjoy it, there's nothing to keep you going. So,
No. Yeah, yeah.
if they're in something, especially for a kid, like a kid needs to be able to see the end goal to stay motivated. So if the kid's got into karate, whatever, and everyone, they can't get away from people, well, hey, if you've got stronger high hands, you could hold on to people, or you could hold on to your bike handlebars longer, or whatever it is. It has to be relatable to something that's going to help them, and then they might find the fun in it. But as far as exposing them to it, wouldn't have a clue.
It could also be tough. I mean, as far as, like now, if someone was like a physical education teacher, or
Yeah.
maybe someone like coached athletes, so they're around younger people. They have a reason to
In
be around younger
addition
people,
to have that,
yeah,
yeah,
because then you have a little bit more visibility. But yeah, like you being in your 40s, you can't just like walk down to the beach and be like, "Hey kids, come over here and lift." Like you look like a weirdo. You know what I
start
mean?
hanging out at schools, lifting weights. Like,
You know what I mean? Like you're going to get arrested. Whereas
yeah,
the other person might recruit, oh, hey, I got like 5 up and coming people for the teens thing, because they might have a group that trains. I'm joking about you being arrested or whatever, but yeah, like
no, no,
it's the same
well,
thing that,
like,
oh, sorry. I was going to say same thing that like when people talk about like, getting women involved in the sport, or, I'm like, I, I'm all for it. But
yeah,
me just like randomly DMing strange women I don't know to talk to them about grips, not something I'm doing. Like, I'm not
no.
doing it. You know what I mean? So like,
Where's this
unless
going to
I,
be? Uh,
right? So unless I'm like, which I do travel a lot for some of these competitions. So if I'm in person, yeah, I'm cordial with everybody. I'm trying to talk to them.
course,
I'm, kind of
of course.
inspiring in that way, or trying to make sure that, oh, hey, here's a tip or do this. But that's where it makes sense. But for me
Yeah,
just to go like blind DMing or just spamming random people, it's like, who's this guy? Like, what's he talking about?
yeah,
Like I don't feel like it's appropriate for, the positions and stuff that I'm in. I have no reason to
no,
like reach out to strangers via internet, particularly women, and be like, "Hey, you want to do this competition?" It's like, who are you? Like first off, let's start with who are you? Like you don't know them, but if I've met somebody and I talk, then it develops naturally. Then yeah, that makes more sense. But that's the same trouble I would run into. Like, when do I have time to show grip stuff to anybody of that age group? So I think it has to come from somebody that's maybe in more of a coaching role, or they're a trainer at a gym, or they have access to that demographic, and then maybe they could work in grip, or maybe have some exposure
yeah.
that way. But that's a future episode that we could brainstorm on.
And
So don't worry, Ronnie,
and why
that could
would I
be
want
a
to lift?
possibility.
And why would I want to lift this weight?
Yeah.
Because it's fun. Is it though? You know,
Yeah,
well,
it's
for me
tough.
it
They're like,
is.
well, you picked up 160 on that handle, and they're looking like, but that guy lifted 500 on deadlift. I want to do that. Um, but yeah, it just depends. Then for this last page on this portion, from Canada,
Yep.
I hope the name is correct here, but Henriette, so women's lifter, actually in the masters division, and does some training with Ian Wheat, and I don't quite recall the name of their gym, but you know, I want to say she's. I don't want to mess up people's age. It's always like a touchy subject sometimes, but
No, no,
I
no.
want to say she's like close to 60, I think, or in her 60s, and she's still like doing like strongman training and just staying, you know,
Oh,
I mean, just staying prepared and fit, and has
oh,
competed in a lot of these things and is always, I mean, consistently training. But I'm just giving her credit there for the, you know,
yep,
the
yep,
training I see her do. Um,
yep.
but she says, let's talk King Kong. Joe, do you have any thoughts about this year's King Kong you'd like to bring up today?
Yeah.
What are you
Uh,
thinking?
why Freestyle Hub?
There we go. That's a controversial subject.
Why?
Why? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I
Let's
could
let's
make a
lift.
really bad joke, but I'm not going to do it.
We'll have a blob ladder, but you can do facelifts, or you can lift them, you know, whatever way you want.
I get what you mean. It's basically like merging two variations into the same category, and with a lot of people, there's a big discrepancy in what they can do with both styles too. And
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know. And I'm one of those people. I do lift a little bit more on freestyle than I do, you know, the traditional claw grip for hub, but I still think as a traditionalist, kind of, I mean, it was meant to be, you know, you could have some variation
yeah,
to it to some degree, but it's not meant to be like doorknobbed. If you're going to doorknob shit, just lift on a hilt, lift little bighorn, lift on a Stanowitz anvil, rogue anvil, lift anything vertical if you want to do a vertical lift. Don't give me this like partial vertical lift that, you know, like,
uh,
I don't know. But some people like it, and that's the thing, you know, some people are good at it and it suits them. And I guess one thing that is a good thing to bring up about it, Joe, is that it, in a lot of ways, I agree, it does not make sense. I don't like it. But it also, from a standpoint of like rule set, if you had a judge that has to sit there and watch these grips and, oh, is that illegal? Does that meet the standard? If it's freestyle, it kind of takes away having to be so critical on how they're grabbing it. So it does kind of make the, you know, there's still rules, but it kind of opens that up to where, hey, they can kind of, you know, within this range do more things with it. So you're not having to like, where's your thumb at? What are you doing with this? Is your hand sideways? What's the angle? But that's a small trade-off, in my opinion. But yeah,
I
overall
suppose
King Kong though, Joe, or keep going with
I,
it.
I s- I suppose another way to look at it is that, you know, it's a different type of lift for an implement that you probably already got. You don't have to go and buy another one, which is
True.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's another benefit.
I don't need
Um,
I don't want 400 grip implements anymore.
anymore.
No. When I first started, I think you do what everyone is. You just buy every single thing. You've got like 15 rolling handles, and pretty soon you realize you can't use 15 rolling handles. You know, it's
Uh,
easy. King Kong. I don't know where it's going to be held in Australia this year,
okay.
but
Yeah.
I'll have to see how my body goes as to whether or not I enter it. I'm not sure.
It is single
I,
hand
I,
events. It's single hand
I,
events. It's gonna be lighter, you know. I mean,
oh
so
yeah, I won't be competitive on a competitive level, even if I do, even if my body lets me
you got
enter.
time, Joe. You got time. Don't say that. You got time.
Wow, I
Months,
got
months,
time.
months.
Do it, do
Um,
it.
so,
What about got any thoughts on it?
um, I do think that we might see. It's an interesting lineup because we have the 2 1/4 crusher,
Yeah.
we have the 1 5/8 inch thumb blaster,
Oh
the
yeah, I suck.
what did we just name? Freestyle hub, and then little bighorn. So I do think that it kind of shifts things a little bit
Yeah,
because if you can have somebody that,
2 V bars.
Yes, somebody. Yeah, when you kind of have like two V-bar style, or the option at least to kind of go that route. If somebody is good in that position, if they're good at those two events and they're, you know, also good at the other ones,
Yeah,
I mean, they could kind of just rack up, I don't want to say double points, but, boom, kill it on those two events. And as long as they're pretty solid on the other stuff with no hole in their game, that
yeah,
might be easier. And I'm not saying it's a complete direct correlation, but yeah, it'd be like having like two pinch events. And it's like, well, okay, it kind of is on that fine line of being two vertical lifts for some. And yeah, if you get a real good V-bar lifter that can really get that technique down, they could clear some big ground on people that maybe
yeah.
don't have that wrist mobility or that like death grip at that angle.
Ankle. Yeah,
So I think that could change. I also think the thumb blaster is a bit of a question mark for people because it's got like the rounded thumb, but then the flat finger pressure. So it's kind of a pinch, but a round bar, and then also like wrist flexion coming in. So I think the thumb
yeah,
blaster is a real big question mark because we know. I mean, a half pounder tying somebody in King Kong can drop you 20 places with the scoring. So I
mm.
mean, who knows what the people are going to hit on the thumb blaster? We haven't seen that really played out like the other lifts. So
I think it's cool. I think it's cool that it's in it. Has there been arm assassin tools in King Kong before?
I think this is the first year.
But that's great.
Don't quote me on that, but I do believe that
Yeah,
that was something that Eric had looked at doing in the past, and I think this year that was the selection. I mean, it's a
great.
affordable piece. It's kind of
Yeah,
unique, and it kind of
it should be
changes
unique.
things up. So I think I think that was a good call actually. I mean, even though it is kind of
Yeah,
an oddball lift, that was a good move on Eric's part, and I think that might, we know where people are going to, not everybody, but we have an idea with the Crusher being contested and Little Bighorn
yeah,
being contested. We have a pretty good
yeah,
idea who's a threat on those.
yeah,
We kind of know who those people are that can hub lift heavy and who can really like doorknob and go 100 plus pounds. We know who those people are. There might be new ones emerging, but we know what the old stats say. And we can look at those old spreadsheets. But that thumb blaster, I think, is one of the bigger question marks that we don't really have enough data on. And other than people posting training lifts leading up to it, we don't really know how they're going to end up or how people are going to perform day of. And I don't think some people
yeah,
even know how they're going to do. So it's like you can't really bank on any of that. But anyway, I think it'll be a great. I think it was a good switch up of events. Although I'm not a fan of freestyle hub, I understand the selection, and I really do. I think this King Kong's going to be potentially kind of like the last year was the biggest one. I think we're going to see just some stupid, crazy numbers, and I think we're going to have a big turnout this year. I'm looking for this King Kong
yeah,
to probably even elevate above the last couple.
yeah. Cool.
Any last thoughts on King Kong there before I jump into the next couple phases here? Try to get rolling.
No, just you know, just credit to Eric. It's you know Eric for running it, and obviously Jed with the GSI stuff, entering all that sort of stuff, and it's amazing. It's a lot of work to run it all. Even just to run your individual, venue is a lot of work. And so, credit to Eric for how much work's involved in that and for how long he's been doing it. Like it's amazing.
So we'll move on from King Kong. I'm going to knock this one out because this is an
Yep.
easy one to answer. Devin Lee Brown, the Muscle Link on Instagram. Devin Lee Brown says, "Does it have to be grip related? If not, Alex T has won the Classic Tetris World Championship for the last 2 years. Do you think he'll win 3 years in a row? Only Jonas has more than 2 wins." Now, I don't know. I didn't know who Alex T was, so I had to look up Alex T and see that apparently he's like this teenage phenom that's like winning some World Tetris Championship. Now, I'm not familiar with that realm or world, but I do believe that Devin Lee Brown plays Tetris and is into some of that stuff as well. Well, he does all kinds of stuff. I mean, skateboarding, arm wrestling, he's all over the place.
Yeah.
So he does a lot of stuff. But yeah, so he submitted a Tetris question. So yeah, to answer it here,
What does AI say?
Do you think he'll win 3 years in a row? Only Jonas has more than 2 wins. I'm going to go on record right now and say absolutely Alex T is going to win 3 years in a row and do something that's never been done before. I don't know. I'm
Go,
fucking around.
Alex.
I'm fucking around with that answer because I don't know. But yeah, he's absolutely going to win. So that's my answer for what that's worth. So I get that question out of the way. But yeah, it didn't have to be grip related. You can hit me up about Tetris. I
Yeah,
just don't know anything about it. But I did look up Alex T and I watched a little bit. So
done your
don't know if Devin Lee Brown's watching this or he's going to make it this far. But I answered your question and did a
If he's
little
going to
bit of
ask
homework.
questions like that, he'd better be watching.
Just fast forward to it. I'll put it in a timestamp.
Give
Here's
her
the
the book
only Tetris question.
Tetris question at 1 hour, 15-minute mark.
Oh God, man, some of these are kind of tricky. Maybe I should have started off with some of these a little faster because they're not like easily answered ones. You start getting into some cool ones, and I really want to start getting your thoughts on these, especially. So, here we go. Okay, from Team Fairpoint. If you guys don't know who Team Fairpoint is, he's the double champ. He's the champ. He's the big general of the North. St. Clairsville's finest, Jason Dingy. Jason says, what have you learned about the grip community in the last 2 years?
Oh, jeez.
Too much?
That's a big question.
Too much? I've learned about all kinds of stuff. Joe, you go first. I don't even want to hit this one.
Okay. We're all, every single one of us is like ADHD/bipolar type B.
Okay, keep going. Keep going.
We're all a little bit agoraphobic. We're very comfortable in our little sheds. We're all got a particular personality. I think you have to be so, laser focused on something that's probably deemed pretty unimportant to the rest of the world. Grip can be very frustrating, but also very rewarding. And less training is better than more training. And that's it. That's all I've learned.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, what have you learned about the grip community in the last 2 years? Oh man, I think that there was some similar stuff like this on that gift to grab episode as well. To some degree, but kind of talking about how like people kind of form different groups, or sometimes things can get political, and that absolutely happens. That happens in anything. You play basketball, it's going to happen. You go, whatever job you're working. Somebody's manager said this. Politics are just everywhere, so you're going to run into some of that stuff. But overall, I think the community does kind of band together, for the greater good or doing whatever. I think people do a pretty good job. Yeah, occasionally there's some tension or there's some stuff and things happen or people maybe take stuff the wrong way or certain people do things. But yeah, what have I learned about the community? For the most part, I mean, it's typically people that come from a prior background that are very competitive and take training serious and also have fun with it. But I feel like some of the people that I've met through the grip community have been some of the most reliable people. If you need help to talk about a technique or you need something, for the most part, people are pretty responsive. They're going to talk to you. They're going to help you out. I've learned, for me personally. I mean, I've watched training evolutions happen. Like when I first joined the sport, the videos I was seeing on my news feed are not quite the same as what I'm seeing now. I've seen different shifts in how people train. You know, uh, and I'm not saying it's like only like one thing or not, but like, if I had Carl on the show and Carl talks about doing like axle wrist curls or something, then I might see videos for the next, couple months.
Oh,
I see a lot more wrist curls. And it's like, I didn't see people doing that when I first started the sport, or maybe they take it up another couple notches and add, more to that even and make those more effective. So there's some stuff there with that. But yeah, I've just seen some trends, come and go.
I know. I've noticed when people run. I've run a couple of online comps, and so has Alex and a few others. And you always have sort of 30 people enter it, which is pretty damn cool. Like there's no
Mhm.
prizes, there's no reward. You're just putting out a challenge, basically. Post your lift, show it on the scales, and people get behind it and they have a go, which is really cool, man. It's what keeps it fun, right? So you're right
Yeah.
about that. Get involved. They
Yeah.
do get behind.
Uh, what have you learned? I mean, I think a lot of this too is, people, we get into this sport and we see what's kind of going on in the current time, but then like most things I do in life, I try to go back and to the roots of everything and the origin of it and, really kind of like, just do my due diligence when it comes to like knowing what sport I'm in and what the hell I'm doing. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, just learning about the history of a lot of lifters,
Yeah.
that, oh hell, you know what another one would be? I'm sorry, I'm blanking here. Uh,
No, no,
but just on the topic of history, if we're talking about a gripper episode, I think Paul Knight would be
yeah.
a great one.
Yeah.
Paul Knight would be a killer guest to have on the show as a full interview or in conjunction with the gripper episode. So yeah, you just start learning about names like that. If you just joined this sport the last couple of years, go back and check out what some of the people were doing 10 years ago. Some of these things that kind of became old or fell off with the trends, they still work. Those fundamentals and basics. I mean, it might be what boosts your training up to the next level, kind of what's old is new again kind of thing. This stuff goes in waves and cycles. So, um,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I've learned a lot just from different rule sets, different formats, different ways that you can put pressure on people during competitions, different formats that you can use as a host. You just
Yeah.
learn about different people, their backgrounds, beyond grip. You learn about who they are as an actual person. So, yeah, I mean, that question could kind of just keep going and going because the last 2 years, particularly, I've interviewed so many people, I've met so many people at 30 plus competitions. Um,
Yeah.
it, yeah, there's just a lot of stuff going on. Uh, with
Yeah,
it.
that's
Yeah.
that's so true. You've had so many great guests. Hearing about Richard Siren and Steve McGranahan, Pat McNamara, and then all the current lifters and that are competitive and hear their take on everything. Yeah, it's been you know it's been amazing. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot to learn, take in, a lot of concepts, a lot of ways to think about things that are not necessarily you would get from your own perspective.
Very true. Because I mean, you go online and you want to like research how to deadlift. There's probably 5 million videos, and everybody knows how to deadlift. I mean, you have
Yeah,
infinite resources. Like you posted a
yeah,
video about the finished ball. How many tutorials are there for the finished ball? You threw one up. Maybe someone gave a couple tips. Jed's got something on grip authority. Okay,
yeah,
there's your, or you could just study other people's lifting videos, but then you got to kind of like scroll for 2 years to find it in their King Kong or something.
yeah,
And maybe even then it doesn't really reveal what they're really doing. You can't see their hand or something. So I think the more information and tutorials and stuff like that pushes things along, I think it's better because it's the same way you can like go watch how to squat or how to bench
yeah,
press. These fundamental, how to do a clean, you get so many different people's, there's thousands of videos for technique. In our sport, that just hasn't been a thing yet. And I think that that'll, with time, I mean, people are going to, you know, there's an evolution that's naturally going to occur. Um,
yeah. Well, that's the exact reason I started doing it. I did one ages ago on the Saxon bar, and then I wrote a piece on the inch dumbbell, and I've spoken to a bunch of the guys lifting heavier bells about the technique that I use for lifting the Millennium and heavy bells. Um, the information should be out there. If you and me are the same
um,
strong, the same strength, and I know how to use lift with a finished ball, and you don't. Am I really going to feel better than you if I beat you in a competition when you just grab it and I've got this refined technique?
mhm.
You
Yeah.
know?
And I see both sides of that. I mean, because in a way, it's like, sometimes we find our technique through doing the repetitions. So if that person didn't touch the finished ball for 6 months, but you did 5,000 reps on it to perfect it, then they do
Yeah.
deserve to lose. But I get what you mean. Whereas
Yeah.
if somebody's trying to like gatekeep a bunch of information and they're not like, oh, that's a
Yeah.
secret. You don't, in that case, then it's like, yeah, if some guy is there at a competition and he's like actually stronger than you, but he just doesn't know how to capitalize and display that strength, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I would rather. I would rather see that person, you'd feel better if they, had a more honest shot at it. But it's a fine line. Like I said, sometimes people got to do their own homework and discover the technique, but then also that process gets sped up if there's more info out there for people to have. I saw several cases of that at nationals where
Yeah.
Cliff Keener was about to not do as well on the silver bullet, and people were yelling instructions like set the handle
Yeah.
deeper, do this. Boom, he got time on the number 4 with like 10
Yeah.
seconds left in his minute time frame, So yeah, who would feel good about beating Cliff on that event just because he didn't set it deep enough? But one guy in the
Correct.
crowd yelling set it deeper, dude gets time on the 4. So yeah, and that's how strong he was. But just because you beat him on that event, if he didn't get that tip, he's still stronger than you, but
That's
won
right.
with finesse. So there's examples like that, and it, like I said, goes both ways. So yeah.
But you've got to decide what's more important, that you are better than someone else for a little while until they think about it, or the sport progresses. Because having progression in your training is so motivating. If you go and lift and get a PR tomorrow, you're like, man, grip is unreal. I reach out and say, hey, when you grab the handle, do this instead. And you're like, whoa, I wonder what else I could do better. Like, it's so encouraging, and it's it's so motivating. So if you
I think
want
that's the
sports,
big thing too. If you're really helping a lifter that is dedicated, it's motivating, and you're just
yeah,
you're building them up, but that's also just another brick that's getting stronger in the sport. And now the
yeah,
whole sport's becoming stronger and raising its level.
just said about the deadlift. There's a million deadlift videos out there. John Hack's not trying to hide it. He's putting videos out daily on exactly how he's doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think our sport would benefit from some of that as well. Now, I do understand if people have certain, maybe ways that they taper into a competition or how they coach people with customized training. I understand them not like just
Yeah.
spewing out all of their work and the stuff that they've kind of earned that, they're not just going to like piss it away for free. But yeah, I do believe for like a lot of beginners in general stuff, I think if there was just more resources out there or they tapped into more resources, everybody's level rises, and that's just better for the sport too.
I think.
This next one coming in from Nick Movement. I'm just saying Nick Movement because I believe that's the abbreviation. But he says, "What's the best bang for your buck grip exercise? I.e., Saxon or fat grip that has the most carryover to other grip lifts." So Joe, I guess he's really asking, is it a thick bar lift? Is it a rolling handle? Is it a Saxon? Is it what's one bang for your buck exercise that's going to carry over to other grip lifts, maybe more than the others? Do you have anything that you feel works for you, or it's tough to narrow it to one is the first thing I'll say, but
The Hodgson grip machine.
oh, there it is.
No, I don't know.
Okay. Me personally, people have different takes on this.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that thick bar is king. Me personally. Now, what type of thick bar? Rolling handle, dumbbell, axle, two hand, one hand. I don't care. I'm not trying to get that specific with it. Like only do one hand axle and
No.
like, but I think that if you can put up very like high level thick bar numbers across the board with the open hand diameter on that, with the thumb, the fingers, and just the way the wrist is involved, all that. I think sometimes that's easier for strong thick bar lifters to go over, specialize in pinch, and then see their pinch come up versus some people that maybe are really good at like, oh, he's awesome at vertical lifts. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to have good thick bar. Or,
Sure.
oh, you're a killer at pinching. It still sometimes doesn't necessarily mean the thick bar is quite to that level. And I'm sure there's outliers or there's case by case basis where I could be proved wrong. Or, hey, what about that guy? I'm not saying everybody, it's not a blanket statement. But for me, if you were going to like just do all of the uses or drills and techniques for like inch dumbbells or axle work, I think that's as basic and kind of as primitive as it gets. That's going to carry into developing fingers, thumb, wrist, and essentially the whole hand. And even if you get heavy enough on those lifts, body work as well, versus, just pinching a block and your body's not lifting anything but like 80 pounds. So
Yeah.
that's my take for thick bar. I would say, I wouldn't narrow it down to one thick bar lift. I would just say axle and inch dumbbells probably would carry over to more things and prepare you better than like living on anvils or only doing
Yeah.
bench work. If I had to say that, or only doing grippers. So anyone else, hey, comment below, chime in, correct me.
I've never really thought about the carryover, because I would want to do thick bar, and then I would want to train pinch, and then I would want to train because I just enjoy all of it. So I've
Yeah.
never thought that, hey, if I do axle, I don't need to do Saxon, because I want to train axle and then I want to train Saxon because I enjoy both of them so much.
Yeah. And I think at some point, yeah, obviously the best answer is going to be, be well-rounded, do more than one. But if for the sake of the question and just to kind of keep it within the,
Yeah. Well, I'll go with you, thick bar. Yeah.
oh, got an agreement. Uh, but
I'm not disagreeable.
this is from Andrew Kiro, goes by Kiro Strength on Instagram. Where do you think grip sport is headed in the next 5 years? Oh man, unpredictable. There might be 10 more federations. There might be no grip sport. I don't know. I'm messing around. There's going to be people picking up stuff, but that's a tricky one. I don't know. 5 years can change a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, do you have any thoughts on that or what you think? I mean, I do think we're going to see a lot of numbers go up. I think we're going to see, obviously, like an example real quick. When I first jumped in the sport for like the GSI database, they were going off of like an old, very, very slick flask, like when it first came out, and Cody Burns did like 220 on it, and that was like the only one in a sanctioned comp for a period of time. Well,
Yeah.
the first worldwide grip battle that got contested, that was barely even a top 10 lift because we got a better sample size. So I just think with 5 more years, I don't know necessarily where the sport's headed. I think we're going to have more lifters. I think we're going to have more competitions. I think we're going to have more annual competitions that keep coming back, like the Greenville Grabs, Dubs Grip Classic, Stronghold up in Maine, Australian Nationals, and the stuff that you guys are doing at these other gyms when they're contested. So I think we're going to see more consistent hosting.
Yeah.
That's going to give us more data on these handles. And I think now with the database being very accurately like kept and kind of, shaved down, some of the stuff that was outdated has been moved off. I really think that we're going to see get a better idea of where everybody really stands on some of these things. Not like, oh, well, only 8 people did that 3 years ago. Let me get the record. No, like I think we're going to get that sample size where, okay, like, hey, I had that record in my weight class for a while. Well, now you're seventh because it got held in 2 more comps. Like, welcome to reality. You don't have 50 world records or whatever
Yeah.
some of you weird people put in your bios. How many world records do you have, Joe, that are like 27th overall? You say world record, I assume you just mean world record, right? But if you
That's right.
mean your weight class in this one organization on one day, you don't have a world record. I'm just saying that you don't. So that's just
Yeah.
my take. But yeah. Anyway, that's my little bit of trash talk there. It kills me when I see people talk about how many world records they got, and it's like, okay, you have the world record on that handle that was contested twice for that organization, but when this one hosted it for 50 events, you're like 87th. But you got
Yeah.
world record in your bio. Like, you look like a fool, So like, I'm just saying, it's like a fact. Like, just
Yeah.
it'd be like, oh, I'm making this up, but like, oh, I hold the fuck, I don't know, the conventional deadlift on a 27 millimeter deadlift bar if you split Connecticut in half, I have the biggest lift in this age group over here. That's my world record. It's not a fucking world
Un-
record. Like, it's just not.
and it's an unofficial one.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Well, it's either unofficial or it's got 17 filters on it just so you can pretend it's at the top of, I don't know, the other top 100 list that we could bring up, and you don't make the top 50. Anyway.
I think you can be proud of it, but that shouldn't define you.
Yeah, I know we're getting off on a tangent there, but yeah, just
No,
it kind of
I
goes with it though. Where do I see the sport in 5 years? I think the bar is going to continue to rise.
yeah,
You mentioned this the other day, talking with me about climbing. It's a very good
yeah,
analogy where just somebody climbing something to show that it was possible instantly exaggerates like the amount of people, magnifies how fast everybody else is going to do it from then on, and it goes
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
You mentioned what was kind of the example you gave? You talked about like there was routes that took you how long to climb, and then you know,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, the example is that it's the first descent of something. If you're the first one to climb something, it's been a
mhm,
long-standing project. Usually, what happens is it might be 30 years after someone found it, people trying it, and it can't be done. And then as soon as someone climbs it, within the first year, it has 4 ascents. Because as soon as in your mind it's now possible, it went from maybe it's not possible by a human to suddenly it's doable.
mhm,
And depending on your view of the person, if you see that person and you think, holy shit, they're so much better than me, I'm not going to climb it if you can climb it. Maybe it's not. But if you see the person and in your mind, you're like, well, I can do anything he can do. Man,
mhm,
it's not just possible. It's infinitely easier than it was the day before he did it, you know?
mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And
it's a great point.
I had climbs that I did, take me 6 days or something back in the day, 25 years ago, and now people might do it in a day.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
just
man, that's it. But that's how it
time.
works, though, too. But at
time
the same time, they can't say they climbed it before you. I did it faster, but like at
yeah,
that time, you were the one that was, you know,
yeah, it
kind of,
was.
like forging the path. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I guess to answer that question, where I think it's heading in the next 5 years, I think there's going to be some growth. I think it's going to get more competitive. Um, I think, with anything naturally, we see kind of different waves of generations come and go. Some people are in the sport, 2 to 3 years, they're gone. Some people
yeah,
are around for the long term. New crops of lifters coming in. Um, but yeah, I mean, even me alone, just in the 5 years I've been doing the sport, roughly, um, there was numbers the first 2 years I lifted that I thought, man, if I could just get there, I'll be
yeah.
competitive. Well, I got there, and I'm like, that ain't enough. Like we're going heavier and heavier. I'm like, I gotta like second, third, fourth gear. Like I gotta go. So it's like,
You're
uh,
getting better to move. Ah,
yeah, no, everybody's getting better. So there's lifts that I was almost like, man, I'll never lift that. Now I don't, now I lift it and I'm like mad that I didn't lift more. And it's like, I didn't even think I would get as far as I've ever gotten on some of these lifts, but
yeah,
everybody else is just driving you so hard to like do better that it's tough. I mean, it's just competitive. And like I said, the more sample sizes and the better lifters and the better education we get and people improving their technique and just coming up with different training methods, these numbers are going to climb, and it's going to be exciting to see. So yeah, I don't know about any of the other maybe aspects of it that we could approach there for 5 year timeline, but look for certain weights that are a big deal now to maybe fall to that like 90-95% range, and it's gonna bump up. Maybe not all
yeah,
records are gonna fall, but there's the overall like top tens, top 20s. Those are gonna get packed full of like way more competitive numbers, and it's just gonna force everyone to be smarter about their training, or you know
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to beat a dead horse and keep going on that, but
No, no, no.
now I got one here from Will Thompson, co-host of the Gift of Grab, Nimrod Lifts on Instagram. Joe, I'm gonna let you take this question first. Nimrod says, "What are the ways you've seen the sport change?" And he has better/worse in the last 2 years. So we can kind of go, what are some things you think the sport's gotten better about? And what do you
Mm.
think are some of the things that have gotten worse in 2 years, if you can think of that? Or whatever comes to mind. I mean, you could answer it in whatever order you want.
I think I think we're getting better at calling people out, the bad lifts and stuff.
Okay, so kind of policing up, maybe
I think
judge calls, or moving towards maybe a more like organized standard, or just maybe a little bit
yeah,
better accountability.
yeah, I feel like that. Bad claims getting called, competition lifts. It's more people instead of sitting back and just thinking, oh yeah, I wasn't right. People are calling it now, which is good.
Hmm.
Um, Getting worse. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's
sure.
tough. It's tough to say.
That's a hard one to say.
It
There's little bits
is.
I like,
Um,
but they're new things that change, or it's things I never really liked.
yeah. Some things. This is kind of tricky, um, because when we say sport, that kind of brings in at least two organizations, right?
Yeah.
Companies, whatever we want to call them, with Armlifting USA and Grip Sport International. Um, if I could say one thing that I felt, especially if we do the 2 year timeline here that Will's talking about, I personally thought the 2023 Arnold, where we all had the raised stage and we all did all three lifts, all the weight classes did the same stage, same lifts, and it was a great crowd, great turnout, and I thought it was ran very well, nice and uniformed. That was really good. I did not attend the 2024 one, but that's when the whole like, well, we're going to get this main stage time, but then the other lift's going to be back in the broom closet, A120. It's going to be in the side
Divi-
room. And then,
division.
yeah, and then for this year, it was really bad, in my opinion, because we had 70, 80, 90, 100, and 110s, five weight classes, all lifting on the same stage. And we like started doing Saxon at like 8 a.m. in the morning, like a 4 hour time break, just sitting around waiting to go to a bigger stage across the expo.
Yeah.
Oh, now we did Axel. Now wait another 4 or 5 hours, and then these five weight classes file into this room and just take your medley reps. And that was a 13-hour lifting day for
Wow.
me. You know what I mean? So to spread that out
Yeah.
over 13 hours, like was us, for at least for the weight classes I'm talking about, us five weight classes that did it. I understand some of the women had main stage time. I understand the super heavies and those top two classes had main stage time, and that's good exposure for the sport. I get that. But
Yeah.
was us getting to go pull the axle on the Rogue Strength stage or whatever it was? Is that one lift on that stage worth, 13-hour day, five weight classes doing two-thirds of the competition in a room the size I'm sitting in almost? It's like I don't see the trade-off. I think it's like, well, wouldn't it have been better if every lifter, every class was all on the same raised stage and had the giant crowd that was there in 23? I just think that chasing that main stage, I don't know, allure, it sounds appealing, it sounds important, but I mean, to me, I don't know. I just think focusing on, oh, main stage time. Yeah, well, okay. 80% of the weight classes did, I don't know, 70% of their lifts in the back room. I
Mm.
don't necessarily know that that's a progress for me. I don't think it was. I think it kind of made a bad schedule. It also had people that, wanted to compete that couldn't because their flights were leaving at different times, or, maybe people's families didn't want to sit around for 13 hours in a chaotic expo. So I think it just affected some of the people's travel experience timelines, and that's just it's one example, but yeah, I think that's something that kind of got worse in 2 years. Was I thought 2023 was awesome. Watching Carl and Kim battle it out on the axle. It was crazy. It was cool to watch. Some really big lifts that year, but everybody was on that stage and everybody kind of got the equal representation. And as a whole, all the lifts and all the weight classes got more exposure to that crowd than they did from, well, one of your three events will be on this stage, and then you didn't get any more eyes on it. I don't care if you use the word main stage. You didn't like put it in front of more people, in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, does that make sense a little bit for that? I mean, but
I obviously wasn't there, but I can sort of see, I can tell what he was trying to achieve there, get
yeah.
get more eyes on it, bigger audience, and the sacrifice was that he had a little bit of main stage time, and then the rest was on a smaller stage.
Mhm.
I kind of get that, the hope, it seems pretty clear he was hoping that he'd get more time on the big stage next year because the way
No,
the
it's
audience react.
possible.
But
Yeah. And
but
like I
but
said,
anyhow,
that's one very specific example. I really should try to
yeah,
generalize
yeah,
it
yeah.
more. Um,
I can see that maybe that was pretty hard for the competitors, but I can see what he was trying to achieve there, and
mhm.
maybe the mindset. But
I
again, I
was
wasn't.
yeah. For ways I've seen the sport improve is I kind of think that with more competitions being hosted and more awareness being brought to them, kind of goes back to the whole 5 years type thing. But I do believe that we have a better grasp on what good numbers are,
Yeah,
for each implement now in the last 2 years, because I really feel like a lot of, potential lifters that we didn't know about have emerged, and some of the lifters that kind of hit their stride in their third or fourth year of training are putting up their best lifts.
yeah,
So I think the sport's gotten better in the sense that certain handles and implements have now been contested enough to we know
have a,
where everybody's standing and ranking on them, or we know what's a good number to chase, but they're
yeah,
also kind of being constantly contested enough where there's enough competitions to where you're not like, man, we're going to do the flask 1 year and then we're not going to lift on it for 3 years.
yeah,
Now it seems like if an implement is brought in and being contested, you will at least see it multiple times during the year,
yeah,
which I think helps the consistency for everybody's training and awareness of the sport to gauge everything, or just to kind of once again legitimize it and kind of etch things in stone a little bit more. Like, hey, this is an elite lift, or this isn't, or you know, I don't know. And then what would be worse? Um, I don't want to like go too critical on here, but worse in the last 2 years. This, my opinion, it's not anybody else's, so you can attack me in the comments. I do not like the medley format that Arm Lifting USA has adopted. I don't like 3 pins in 1 minute and rep it out. And some people can barely pick up the last pin for a single rep. Someone else is doing 38 reps in the lightweight class. It's just like, I
mm,
don't know. I've seen several weight classes where the weight pins weren't dialed in right. And it literally just comes down to you're not testing max strength because it's a rep out. I've
yeah,
also seen people burn up the full minute and not even be close to getting gassed out. So you're not even testing endurance at that point. You're literally just testing who can ride the up down call and regrip the least. So like we're not
yeah,
even really finding out in some cases, not all.
yeah,
Generally, if someone hits more reps on the last pin, they probably have a bigger max, blah blah blah. But for some of those things, we're seeing two competitors max out the 60-second time limit. And it's like, oh, he did 28, he did 27. Who's better? Who's stronger and who has better endurance? I mean, you know? So
yeah,
to me, I don't like that format. I don't think it scores well. And it's not really a medley. I mean, you could call it a medley. When it's the same handle on everything, I tend to consider that more of a ladder format,
yeah,
like a log ladder and strongman, you know? Like if it's a press medley, well, okay, you're pressing different shit. If it's a log ladder, you're just going up on logs as they get heavier or bigger. I feel like it's more of a
yeah,
ladder, and that's me just critiquing the verbiage on it, I guess, or whatever we want to say.
yeah, yeah. Just the name,
But yeah,
but
I don't like the idea of the medley. I don't know that it. I kind of wish they would just go back to doing a third event or scrap the medley. I understand it's convenient because instead of one guy taking 15 attempts, hey, 1 minute, go. Okay, you're out. Like it can move, when you're in a time crunch for expos, it has a benefit to it. But
Yeah, for sure.
me personally, we want to find the strongest, or if we're doing timed holds for endurance or reps, I don't want it to be, I don't want some of those weight classes just being so different, and each class has a different weight, and sometimes we don't even see people really reach the limit, and I think it can sometimes sway the other events too much a little bit. And if we're trying to find out who has the strongest grip, like okay, you picked the hilt up 8 times, cool. I don't know that that's necessarily, it just doesn't motivate me, and I don't like the format. So that's my one complaint. But I think that would be something I think that's gotten a little bit worse, because I think when they just try to throw those medleys in there, it's kind of a lot of the same stuff. It's kind of just boring, in my opinion. I haven't looked at like, ooh, the Olympia has a Raptor medley. Ooh, that's going to make me go. You know
Mm,
what I mean?
yeah.
But when I see that Jeff Peterson is hosting a competition in Minnesota next month, and first place gets $1,000, second place gets $750, third place gets $500, and you have inch dumbbell farmers walk, or you have, you know, right
Mm,
hand and left hand gripper close combined for your score, mixed with a pinch for Saxon and a little bit. I'm like, okay, I can get excited for that lineup, or I can get excited to do that. But I don't care about pulling on 3 Raptor handles for a minute. I just don't. But
not the same weight.
yeah,
What about if you had crushes, rising crushes? So, 100 pounds, 140 pounds, 180 pounds, 220 pounds, 260 pounds, and then you're just racing. They are in a row, and then you're just maxing out to the heaviest. You've still got your time limit, but rather
yeah,
than 80 kilos, which you find light, and do 50 reps on it, you could actually find who was the strongest.
yeah. And maybe it's just a time thing, maybe. I don't know. Maybe
Just like
adjust
the
the weights, or maybe change the time for it or something. Yeah, like I said, I don't know. I'm being a little critical of it, but it just,
yeah,
when I look at event lineups, that introduction of that format has not motivated me to do those competitions any more than before, probably less. So it's just that's my personal opinion as a competitor. Um,
yeah,
I look at that lineup sometimes when I see those medleys put in there, and I'm like, that's, I don't know. It doesn't motivate me to get up and train for something like that. It's kind of like, whatever. Like, I'll pull Axel and Saxon. That's kind of cool. And then, yeah, I'll go do the hilt medley, I guess. Like, it's a little underwhelming to me. Um, but
fair enough.
anyway, we're talking about the whole sport, not just one format. But yeah, better or worse. I mean, I think the quality of lifters, like you said, policing up some of the lifts. I think the organization of the sport the last 2 years, I think it started to get more organized. I think the community's more connected, and that helps across the board, from promoter to promoter, competition, and competitor competitor. I think that people are, as a whole, on the same page a little bit more. And like I said, what's worse,
Yeah,
I think changing implements or changing brands of bars and having like multiple leaderboard lists. I think some of that's like, and I only bring that up
yeah,
as something that's a little bit worse, because you have people running around right now that like, I have the Rogue Axle record. And it's like, it's been contested for 2 years, and that's one organization. And if we compare your Rogue numbers with a 1.9 axle to the Iron Mind axle, which is a 2-inch axle, you'd be like 35th. So
yeah,
it goes back to that whole thing where it's like, when we introduce a new brand or a new thing, well, now it creates a separate list. Well, now there's another world record, and now there's 5 more weight class world records. And then some of these people coming along that are newer, they don't know the history of everything. So they're walking around thinking they have 3 world records, and they're literally like barely top 20, top 30 on that bar.
mm,
And it's just a matter of like how they want to view it. So I
yeah,
just see some of that. So I think that that's worse in the fact that it just muddies the water, because that could be presented as like, oh, I have this world record, but then once again, oh, but it's your weight class and it's on that brand. you know,
Yeah.
and it could be technically the easier axle to lift or whatever we want to say. And they could be like, oh, I have the Rogue axle weight class record for my weight class. But then you go look at all the data from Iron Mind's axle, and they might not even be top 10, but they're going to claim a
Yeah.
world record on such a similar item that's technically easier. So I don't know. I didn't want to go on too much of a tangent with that again and beat a dead horse with the record thing again, but the more brands and tools and things that kind of just test the same stuff, I think it just oversaturates the sport. And I think, having a couple options for each thing, like for axle, I think Iron Mind axle, Andrews axle, it's all you need. You don't need a
Yeah.
3-inch axle. It's a pinch event at that point almost for most. But at least having the option so that way it's not always somebody dominating one bar. The same thing we have, 2-inch and 3-inch Saxon or 2 and 3-inch
Yeah.
nickel. Like I like the fact when something is like, okay, it's consistent with maybe one or two variables. That way, whether it's a hand size or whatever it is for the anatomy of the hand to you know balance the field. I like a little bit of variety, but five handles that do the same thing with different names being tracked is like it waters it down. You don't
Yeah.
have any record. It's just too much, you know.
I don't think it's such a bad thing, but I just have no interest.
Yeah.
You know,
So anything else better, worse, 2 years that you've seen? And like I said, if anybody has any comments, drop them down here below, or oppose things that we're saying or whatever. It's generating
Yeah.
discussion. We're just doing this to
oh
kind of
yeah,
get into some stuff. And you feel pretty good with that, Joe, the 2 year one?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This is from Zach Stanowitz, who is a former guest of the show. Uh, Favorite episode was the roundtable on the inch dumbbell. Loved hearing about everyone's first time getting a pull on it and what it took to get their first legit deadlift on it. A good question for you and the guest, oh, that is Joe. uh, what is your favorite axle and size? So, like Andrew's axle, Iron Mind, Rogue, Arm Assassin, why? So, Joe, do you have a favorite axle you like to lift on?
I don't have any standard axles. I don't have anything made in America. I've only got DIY ones.
Mhm.
Me with my back, I like the 3-inch axle
Okay.
just because I actually can find my grip's limit without finding my back's limit.
Okay. And then that
I
makes
think
sense. I mean, there's several people in that same category
with
that,
a 2-inch axle or a 60 mil axle or a 2.5-inch axle, well, my hands will be able to lift more than my back can. So to me, that's testing strength. And I understand you've got to do that, but for me personally, I want something that is going to max my grip out without my body.
Mhm.
What about you?
Kind of what I had just said a little bit ago. I didn't even mean to kind of double up on this question here, but I think having two varieties is good, you
Yeah.
know, just to mix it up. Because if we only contested the 3-inch Saxon, the same person's going to win. But when you throw the 2-inch in and you kind of vary them, we get mixed
Yeah.
results, and that's better for I just think it's just more competitive and it gives more options and freedom for promoters. It gives lifters more opportunities. So my favorite axle is probably the Iron Mind axle,
Okay.
just because the construction of it's not like cheaper pipe. It is, pretty much like machine type steel. So
Yeah.
I like that. I like the quality of that. And it's similar to Andrew's axle. It's just the 2 and 3/8 or the thicker bar. But yeah, those two would be my favorite. For training purposes, I mean, I don't think that we're really anybody's contesting Arm Assassin axle. But for training purposes, price and budget and what Luke can get it to you or how he could customize it, yeah, Arm Assassin would be a great training tool. It's just if we're
Yeah.
talking about what's tracked for competitions, I have to go Iron Mind axle over the Rogue axle by far. And the option of an Andrews axle that GSI
Yeah.
presents, giving you two options to do that, where, maybe somebody is just a strong back, big handed person and the 2-inch really favors them. Maybe you can
Yeah.
step in and kind of, overpower them in that open hand position on the thicker axle. So I like both of those. And this is, whoa, last question. No, not last question, but for Zach here. Opinion on seasoning. Should implements be raw or painted for competition? What is a more consistent surface for you and why? I mean, I think most of this has been kind of put out. I mean, this is our opinion, but Eric and Jed did kind of come together and create, at least on the Grip Sport International side, there is a document related to what is proper seasoning of your equipment and what is basically foul play and where is that line drawn. Like, at what point can you season your equipment, and then at what point does that carry over to, like manipulating the equipment or altering it beyond the point of the standard? You know what I mean? So that info should be somewhere on one of the GSI resources or somewhere. I know it's posted in a couple of different places, but as far as that organization for Grip Sport International, um, I don't want to go try to remember memorize it, but as long as it's like naturally occurring, you know, chalk, weather, sweat, um, whatever you're doing, like as long as it's natural means with chalk seasoning and just your natural weather conditions you're in, or
Mhm.
even if you use natural elements to maybe speed up the seasoning, they write in that document, it's all covered. But yeah, you're not like, well, let me sand the paint off of it and then I'm gonna, put grooves in it. Yeah, okay, you're manipulating equipment. That's crazy. Like, so those rules are out there if anyone wants to look them up. Maybe I'll drop a link here, or maybe I'll make a post somewhere else about it. But for me, some lifts are already going to be um, friction dependent, or
Yeah.
friction might end up being the limiting factor. So we
Well, they all
don't
are.
need to make it slicker. We don't need to paint it heavier. Kind of like the things with the crushers. It's like, just get the steel, get the thing that holds the chalk. And who's stronger on slick shits? Usually who's stronger on the gritty stuff. Strong is
Yeah.
strong. We're not
Yeah.
running into like, ooh, well, put me on a slick handle and watch what I can
Look
do.
out.
Yeah. So yeah, especially for things like thick bar, like if like Country Crush. If I'm using a Country Crush Raptor, it's not even really. It almost becomes more of like, how can I get the texture to feel, more than it has to do with how strong am I or my technique even. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think that should be the case. I think it should, generally the slickness of an implement shouldn't be the limiting factor. It should be a good enough platform to display our strength on and find out who can lift the most. And that would probably be, across the board on any texture for the most part. I don't know, Joe, anything
Well,
on that? Yeah.
unless you're going to wipe it down after every lifter, every single time you touch it, it's going to be different seasoning anyway.
Yeah. And that's part of the
But
challenge, is trying to get it to feel
I,
right for
I got,
you when other people are messing it up. I mean,
yeah, that's exactly right. Maybe you're someone that likes a lot of chalk, and maybe you're someone that doesn't. And if you're the 10th lifter and they've all put chalk on without brushing any off, man,
yeah.
you might spend 55 seconds of your 1 minute getting rid of it. And then the lifter behind you, he wants heaps of chalk again. So he spends 55 seconds trying to chalk it up again before he lifts. As far as Nathan Hall had a good idea. He was talking about pinch boxes, and he was talking about putting knurling on them so that they could be standardized. So rather than having a highly seasoned one and a highly slick one, he was if you had a cross pattern in them, they could all be standardized.
Or essentially trying to get them to be more the same.
Brush them off. It's not slippery. It's not more chalked. In that way, it's potentially
Yeah.
more
No,
even.
I could see a place for that, or I could see, that idea. I see where that, where that forms, or where that could come from.
Well, even the Arm Assassin ones, they've got that gritty paint on them, and
Mhm.
if you brushed it off, it still wouldn't be slick. If you could see the
Yeah.
black paint, but
Yeah.
without a build up like raw steel that's been kept in the yard, or kept in salt water for the last 3 years or something.
Um, This is from, I don't want to mess the name up, but Emil, Emil, ML, B. Beck.
Oh yeah.
I've seen him on a grip board, and I'm familiar with the name, but I just pronunciation, I'm not sure. And it's an IG name too, so it's like underscores and stuff in it. Um,
Sure.
but he said I'd like to see an episode on the origin of the Saxon bar,
Oh,
and that would be nice if there is a story. And
yeah.
obviously, I think that would probably pick up with Arthur Saxon and
Yeah.
how it was even about. But then we'd have to travel, way past
Dude,
that to get to like, oh, well, who's the first person that produced a steel one? When was the first time people started deadlifting on it as opposed to doing the original, snatch feat that he did? That's what I've always thought's funny. It's like it's a Saxon bar, but we don't even lift it really in the same fashion that Arthur Saxon's,
yeah.
traditional lift was really made. So I don't know. I would like see somebody throw a wild card event in and do a one arm Saxon snatch in a competition and pay tribute to Arthur Saxon. Why not? I mean, do 3 or 4 standardized events and throw that at the end. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing it out there, but yeah, no, that
Yeah.
that could be an episode, much like the grippers or the blobs, or something where maybe we just talk about Saxon bar and
Yeah.
try to do our homework on it. But
Yeah. That's cool. Yep.
um, all right, Joe. So with all those questions wrapped up, I'm sorry. I know we've been kind of burning through a little bit. I'm just trying to elaborate and
Sure.
cover stuff that people sent in. Um,
Yeah.
for you, what have been some of your favorite moments, I guess, from the Grip Show that you can kind of point out? Like what from the show in the last 2 years, from you being the first guest to all the stuff you've seen, what are some of the highlights for you as a lifter and a contributor to the show?
Oh, Richard Soren, him talking about it.
Hmm.
That was definitely right up there. Listening to him wrestling an alligator with a rolling thunder and stuff.
That's a good story. I was glad I heard that one. I'm glad I got that one out of him. Yeah, that was good.
That was pretty cool. I liked hearing everyone's backstories. I've listened to most of the interviews, several times each. I There's been heaps. It cracks me up every time thinking about Chaz's mum coming home and there being 100 boxes of phone books on the front lawn. Like
Yeah.
the story of Nathan when he went to pick up the dumbbell the first time, he couldn't get it off the ground, and all the steel workers laughing at him. Like it's like that's pretty classic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. That's really cool.
No, there's a
Um,
lot of those. Yeah. Um,
yeah, man, there's just
you
been
bring
so
up
many
some real
great.
good ones. I know exactly all the ones you're talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
it's like somewhere in my brain in a file folder. Um,
yeah. Let me see if
um,
I can jog my memory a bit better.
I like Steve McGranahan putting the cards in his mouth and tearing them on camera.
Yeah,
Pretty funny.
yeah,
Because I didn't ask him to do that. He just did it. So it was like, I wasn't like, hey, you think you could do this? He's just like, rah, like just starts doing it in the middle of the show, like the first, like,
yeah,
I don't know, 7 or 8 minutes. And I'm like, oh, okay. I hadn't talked to Steve until that interview. I'm like, okay, I guess that's like, this is already going well. So I'm like, yeah, keep doing stuff like
yeah.
that, Steve. I don't care. So I thought
I like-
Steve was super cool in that one.
Oh, he was
Yeah.
hearing about Tim Butler's flatmate's iguana ripping up his curtains like
The blinds. Tim
yeah, the
Butler's
blinds.
blinds. Oh God. Um, yeah, no, that's a pretty legendary Tim story
That was
too.
really cool. Ben Helms running onto the abandoned construction site to get his inch, like trying to throw that over a fence and run away with it. Like, what a sight that would like.
Yeah. He's like, I paid freight for this, and then they just dropped the box in like a condemned building, and now I have to go
Yeah.
like scale a wall and steal it without these construction workers thinking I'm like trespassing.
Oh, I know.
That's pretty
I know.
good. Um,
Yeah, man. Been heaps. There's been heaps of good moments.
yeah, like I said, thank you for naming so many of those. Like, yeah, it kind of like just popped my memory back a little bit.
Great
Um,
moments, man. Great
yeah.
moments. I've listened to every one of them. Even Carl talking about how he got the original Millennium
Hmm.
off Dr. Randall. It could be maybe my
Or no,
brains.
no, no. I think it was. Is it Radley or
Oh, yeah, that's it. Off the
It's
top.
something different, yeah. Because Randall would be what Strawson from like Iron Man, but yeah,
Yeah,
I think that dude. It's like Dr. Radley or something. I don't
yeah.
know the full thing, but I'm going off memory of whatever he said in that episode. Um,
Nah, nah,
but
that
uh,
was good.
but yeah, man, I don't know. I just want to get your opinion on some of the stuff in the show. Joe, is there anything that you would like to see the show
Uh,
do, or is there anything
um,
that you think could maybe be expanded on, or I don't know, just anything that comes to mind. Like I said, there's no pressure, there's no right answer. It's just like I said,
yeah,
kind of
maybe
just
maybe as mentioned previously, just some more like specialized episodes and people that specialize, like the Saxon or something like that. Gripper episodes. You could. There's many ways you could do like hammer levering, like this
yeah.
thing, like it's sort of unlimited. And I think all the people that we go through the stages where you really want to get a pinch or you really want to get a dumbbell, and those moments change. So if I'm going to get back into bells, I'll probably, man, I'll go and watch that inch episode again. Or now, I really want to get. Oh, what did Jed say about pinching again? I'd look up the pinching episode, or yeah,
Yeah,
maybe,
is
maybe
there
more of those. But no, I reckon you're doing great. I think it's good. I like the competition coverage. You said you covered 40 competitions. That's just unbelievable. There's like, two or three
yeah.
comps in Australia, and everyone
Wow.
that's in them, and everyone who's running them. So
Yeah.
to have 40 comps covered, and that's not really including worldwide stuff. That's just Australia,
It's a
US.
decent output. I mean, you're covering a majority. I haven't done a recap
Yeah,
for every single thing, but
no, no, no.
I
No.
try to I really try to get to what I can and
Yeah,
and kind of
it's
do
amazing.
it all justice.
It's amazing, and to hear all those things are happening, you're like, wow, that's so cool, man. This little sport that it was bizarre Google searches to find out anything about it, and now it's just growing, and
Yeah.
it's fantastic. Yeah.
Any now, do you have any shocking moments from the show or maybe just in grip in general, like lifts that got pulled off, memorable moments, maybe some feats. I don't know. Something you've seen just kind of watching people train. I don't know. This is just a total freestyle. I don't even have like
Yeah.
good uh, guidelines for this question, really. Just, is there just something you saw in the last couple of years that you never thought you'd see and it happened? Or, I don't know, just any big
I did.
highlights that stick out.
W's blob lifting. Who could have foreseen someone lifting the shore blob so easily as he did?
Yeah.
Who could have envisaged Ben Helms cleaning the inch dumbbell at that weight?
It kind of all it came out pretty quick though. And that's why I say that 5 years question is tough because five
Yeah.
years ago there wasn't a Jalen Worley lifting a Shaw blob. There wasn't Ben Helms cleaning the inch dumbbell at 220 something.
Wow.
We
Well,
got that
grips.
like in this window,
Yeah.
so it's like, what else is going to happen in 5 years? I don't know.
Well,
Um,
grips in waves, doesn't it? It sort of rises and falls a bit, and maybe we have a lull and not much happens, but maybe some unbelievable stuff happens. Maybe we
yeah,
get to
those
maybe
are good choices.
a
Yeah.
whole 100 kilos level lifting the millennium. Like it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What do you see in the future for the grip show?
Man, like I said, I want to kind of expand more as far as like offering stuff, as far as like the maybe like the gripper setting kits or
Yep.
cars, just more like a type like merchandise or other things, just to kind of promote and do more stuff there and continue
Yep.
the support of sponsorships and things like that. Um, get on more of these episodes where get a little more active with certain topics.
Yep.
Because right now it's like I've been doing the show when I can. Sometimes you'll
Yep.
get 3 episodes in the same week.
Yep.
Sometimes you haven't watched a new episode for a month now, so I'm just
Yep.
trying to get it done. But yeah, I would like to kind of get a little more consistent with the output and kind of structure it a
Well,
little bit better.
you've got you're a family man and you're balancing life. You know,
Yeah, I mean
you do.
it's tough, yeah, because I mean you're doing 100 things at once, but that's what I would like for the show. And
Yeah.
yeah, I would like to expand out beyond our sport a little bit and cover other things that are grip related that maybe aren't specific to the sport and competition.
Oh, Tetra.
There's a lot of things that people are doing that What did you say?
The Tetris?
No, I'm not going to get into. I said with grip related. Now, I don't think grip is related in Tetris. I don't know. Maybe some finger dexterity or something, or hand-eye coordination on a keyboard or a controller. I don't know even really how they run that or how it's done. But one more thing for me to look up. But yeah, no Tetris for me. Um, but yeah, man, I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of things I want to do with the show and just kind of keep it evolving, make it bigger, better. More guests that I have to get to.
Yeah.
Um, you know, retired lifters that I want to get, get that history documented and get that down. So I want to chase down
Yeah.
some good interviews there. I want to get more combinations of good experienced lifters together. Similar to like I know sometimes we do the format where like I've six people talk about the inch dumbbell, but everybody gets their own piece. I would like
Yeah.
to do some where I get just random topic discussions, but get like three people all at once, on like three powerhouses on the same episode, or shuffle that
Yeah.
deck and get just people that normally haven't been seen on the same show. I want to start putting them on the same show and getting them to talk at the same time, and kind of see where that goes with some things. So I don't know. I don't want to spew out like every little brainstorm. I got a million things just floating around in my head that I want to get to when there's time. But
Of course.
yeah, man, the thing I would like to bring up real quick, and we could probably start wrapping up. Feel like I've talked your ear off and probably done too much, but like I said, I'm just kind of speeding through and trying not to take
Yeah.
10 hours. But some of the things I would like, I guess, to kind of maybe close with or get to that point is I didn't think I would be the person that would be running this show. It wasn't really something that I had set out to do initially. It kind of happened naturally. I was kind of, pushed to do it or urged to do it, or, hey, you should take that on. This could be good. And I kind of just took it upon myself and started doing it. But if it wasn't for, um, so many people that I look up to and respect, and I might miss people and not name everybody, but if it wasn't for the people like you that welcomed me into the sport and gave me advice out the gate, did the first episode with me, and like you were open for the idea, you weren't like, I'm not doing that. Like, so I mean, I'm forever grateful for that. That's a good thing, right? Eric Rusain was another person
Yeah.
very early on. I have a lot of respect for Eric. I mean, probably as much or more than anybody in the sport almost. And for Eric to give me his actual opinion of it and say, hey, I think this could work and there's a space for it, depending on how it's done. And I said, okay, well, if Eric thinks it's a good idea, that kind of nudged me in that direction too. So without all of this support from the more experienced lifters like you guys at the time, I don't think that I would have had the confidence, or I don't think that I would have had the inspiration to, you know, get out and reach out to people I'd never talked to, get them to do an
Yeah.
interview with me. Because, if I interview you, it's like, oh, well, we've been talking at the time back then, oh, well, we talked for 6 months. It's a little natural. But like, I mean,
We talked for an hour yesterday.
yeah, right. But the first time I talked to Steve McGranahan, I've never seen Steve in person. We've never talked on the phone. It's just been text messages. So when Steve pops up on my screen, I don't know how that's going to go. Like, God, is this interview going to be boring? Is he going to be like the coolest guest ever? I don't know. It's like a roll of the dice. So just for me to be able to like reach out to, some of the people, because even hell, when I was starting the show, like I hadn't talked to Adam a whole lot. I mean, I had done enough lifts and I had talked to Adam enough to where he was familiar enough to, want to do the show, but it wasn't like it is now where I could maybe, contact him a lot easier, and we just know each
Sure.
other better after years of talking. But
Yeah.
but yeah, stuff like that. You guys gave me the inspiration for that and got me to a point where, I was reaching out to people and interviewing people that I would probably even have talked to, and information that many people would never have heard had we not got them on the show, or had I not been pushed in the right direction by the Joes, Adams, Jeds, So
Yeah.
a lot of
Thanks.
stuff like that. So just got to thank you guys for, yes, I host the show. Yes, I do a lot of the stuff, but I can't talk by myself. I have to have a guest. There has to be competitions, and that's the hard work that everybody else puts into it. I'm just trying to make sure that those that are working hard and doing all the right stuff and doing the best they can, I'm just trying to sort of create a little something that maybe was missing or hasn't quite been done a certain way. And
Yeah.
basically, make their work and effort count for more or help
Yeah.
build
Yeah.
this. Because, yeah, I mean, 20 years from
It'll-
now, people might, I don't know, might not even be doing the sport. They might not care, but, or we all might, all of our lifts might be considered weak and everybody else is just otherworldly strong. But there's still going to be this time in history where we've documented and talked to these people to see where things kind of came from, or just get that window of time sort of captured. So
Yep.
without being too long-winded, which is a problem of mine, um that's really it. Is yeah, thanks to you guys for that inspiration to even lead to the show. And then yeah, the biggest thing I'm excited for is continuing to build the presence at competitions and support the lifters.
Yeah.
And everybody always has suggestions on who I should interview, what kind of episodes. I have like rap sheets, just
Roles.
yeah, names and names and names that I want to get to. And some of them people don't even like, they're not expecting it. They don't know. It's just the time just has to be right. So I don't try to force a guest. I try to wait
Yeah.
till I feel it or I feel like it
Yeah.
needs to happen at that time. So I don't try to force it too much. I've had a couple episodes that could have went a little bit better because the timing was rough and I do feel like they were forced, but for the most part, I think all the guests have done really well. And if there was ever an episode that was a little bit lackluster, it might even have been a problem of me and scheduling, and it might, the fault might be mine if the episode kind of went bad. Um, but yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting these names interviewed, covering these competitions, and finding out the answers to a lot of these questions. Yeah, let's see where we're at in 5 years. I don't know. That's what I want to get to, or just whoever's going to win the next competition and see how that goes. Joe, any
Yeah.
other big things on your radar? Any other like milestones, things you're looking to do? And I don't know, anything as the first guest and now the second anniversary guest, anything that you would like to I don't know, put out, close with, and discuss.
My radar is just trying to keep getting back to 100% in my joints and hands, and stuff's been holding me back for quite a while. And in other terms, everyone should just be helping each other and, be friendly. Don't try and squander all your information for your own benefit, because, there's a big benefit in having people to push you as well.
Yeah.
And, if you've got no one to lift against because they're not motivated, well, what's the point?
Oh, I get that.
We'll, even though we've all got individual goals, we all sort of enjoy having someone to share it with. And, so if you can help someone achieve something more and get their psych up, it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm not even going to add anything to it. I'll let that kind of end it there, and we can wrap up. And
Cool, man.
yeah, I hope people are enjoying the show still. Like I said, if you get a chance, I'm not doing the whole like, comment so the channel gets algorithm. I don't care about the algorithm. I just want to see people comment so discussion is driven. So I don't want
Yeah.
like if you comment, if you leave me 30 comments, I'm gonna get paid. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna get paid right now for any of this at all. I just want you to like give us your opinion. I want to hear from the people. This show's for the people. So if I ask somebody to comment or support something, I'm not like begging you to like benefit me. I'm doing this for the community. I just want to hear people's opinions because it might change my train of thought or better us all. So that's why I say, hey, comment below, do whatever. But yeah, it ain't because I'm making tons of money on a channel. I'd make zero from doing this.
You should like and subscribe.
Yeah, yeah, Joe. That'll be the thumbnail. Um,
Please,
yeah,
please. You got to GoFundMe for the channel.
yeah. And then I don't know. I don't want to trail off too late here on people, but then I don't know. So this is the last thing I'm gonna close with, and it's not even grip related. This is just internet related. Um, is it? I got to be careful how I word this. Is the only way to make quality videos on YouTube, or is the only way to be in the social media like YouTube thing? Does every thumbnail have to have you opening your mouth and fake screaming like Brian Shaw and all those guys? You ever just go through like Brian Shaw's channel or some of those guys? Yeah, that there it is. Why are you like bunch of like 40 and 50-year-old grown dudes just like fake holding your mouth open to pretend to scream in 700 thumbnails? It's stupid. Yeah, or like acting surprised, doing all these like weird faces. It's like is that because you wanted to do it, or is that just because a bunch of other clowns did it? Or because a bunch of fools follow it? I don't know. Maybe it gets you more views, but that would be something in the future of the Grip Show. You're not going to see me with my mouth hanging open and a goofy thumbnail because that's stupid. And I'm not selling out doing that. That's corny. That's just it's lame.
I've got
Yep.
one more for you.
Yeah, okay, go for it. Yeah.
So, how do you describe what grip is to people that don't know anything about grip
At all?
at all?
Take them on the edge of a cliff and hang them off the side. I'm joking.
Go swim.
Yeah. See what your hands are doing now? That's called grip. You don't have it, you're gonna die. No, I'm kidding. But
Grip
yeah.
saved my
Yeah, literally. No. Yeah, I mean, I would just say, I mean, obviously it would be yeah, I don't want to copy Nathan Hall in the show's intro, but thick bar, pinch, wrists. I would just say, breaking down the components of the hand and, the different ways that it can squeeze or generate force to control and, you know, lift an object or hold an object or support your own weight, whatever that may be. That, it's the use of your hands, and whether it's a dynamic close or a static, support type grip, doesn't matter. But yeah, I would just say that's how I would describe grip, other than taking them to a cliff and, I don't know, or hanging them over like a pit of crocodiles out in your neck of the woods, and we just hang them on a pull-up bar and be like, that's grip.
shark infested mangroves.
Yeah, right. So Joe, man, hey, I didn't want to mess around there too much, but yeah, I find it so weird when I do scroll through YouTube and I see all the thumbnails, and I'm like, do
Yeah.
these people know that they can just keep their mouth closed and like do something else, or do they just have to like fake scream? Like, I know you're not really screaming in that picture, like you're standing in a quiet room just with your mouth wide open, holding a hand up or doing something. It's like,
Oh, I
every
think people don't realize that they need to be amazed until they show someone being amazed.
yeah, right. Or they just have this puzzled look on their face. It's like I get it. Like it's the advertising, or oh, we got to get them to click on that thing. So the thumbnail has to be appealing, but I just think you can do it in a way more natural way that like isn't goofy and doesn't just look corny. And
Yeah.
I don't know. Like what are people gonna say to me? Oh, he makes millions. He won World's Strongest Man. What do you know? It's not the point. The point
Yeah.
is there's lots of people that won World's Strongest Man and they don't do those faces, and they're cool. And that's
Yeah.
it's just a weird behavior of internet. And that's just one example. I'm picking on
No,
Shaw's thumbnails or whoever, Eddie, because they're popular. But it's the YouTube social media culture in general. This like fake surprise, mouth hanging open, everything shocking. No, like just
yeah.
I mean, like when we post this, watch what the thumbnail for this one looks like. It ain't gonna be me and Joe looking. Yeah, we're not doing none of that. Now you keep doing this stuff on camera, they're gonna screenshot it, and they're
I know.
gonna they're gonna start putting you in memes, man. Anyway, all right, Joe.
Yeah.
Hey, once
All right,
again,
man.
thanks. I know I probably kept you a little over the time that we talked about. And I just, thank you for the support. Thank you for all the advice over the years, and thank you for continuing to be a part of the show. And yeah, anybody else, reach out to the show, reach out to anybody that's been on the show, hit us up, talk to us, get involved, and yeah, just best of luck in everybody's health and training, and let's keep some momentum going towards the third year of the Grip Show, right? Try to make this next year better than the first two, hopefully, but we'll see. So with that, I'll let everybody go. So
See you, man.
thanks again, Joe.